However, when Gu Qijue brought out the F-rank weapons from the Infinite series, the hearts of the crowd below couldn't help but pound fiercely. They swept the stage with their mental energy and discovered that the quality of the F-rank weapons brought out by the Territory Lord was absolutely off the charts. Every single F-rank weapon was actually a premium weapon containing intense super energy fluctuations. Weapons of this caliber were not only useful for F-rank warriors, but could also play a role for E-rank, and even D-rank warriors. However, the people in the territory had undoubtedly underestimated Gu Qijue. If he only had one batch of premium F-rank weapons, he wouldn't be so confident. On the high platform, Gu Qijue's voice continued to ring out. E-rank warriors and D-rank warriors come up to the stage to select weapons. This was the simplest of sentences. Yet Gu Qijue's words instantly ignited the entire venue. As his voice fell, he brought out the premium E-rank and D-rank weapons he had prepared in advance. The people of Snow Mountain Territory were momentarily dizzy. At this point, they finally understood why Gu Qijue had the confidence to declare war on the Wanderers. Under the slaughter perpetrated by the Zhantian clan, myriad race beings suffered from severe material scarcity. A large number of D-rank cosmic-level warriors simply did not have weapons corresponding to their rank. The situation for higher ranks was much the same. A D-rank cosmic-level warrior fighting barehanded versus one holding a premium D-rank super-energy weapon. His combat effectiveness would absolutely be two different things. A sharp weapon in hand breeds murderous intent. After possessing so many top-tier weapons, even if the Territory Lord didn't speak, many people wanted to seek revenge against the Wanderers. The high platform where Gu Qijue stood instantly became extremely lively, as large numbers of territory warriors rushed up to receive their weapons. In the past, people respected him greatly because of his formidable combat power. This time, the people of the territory received his immense favor once again. The respect everyone held for him was elevated to a new height at this moment. Gu Qijue doing this now was certainly not about performing charity in the Zhantian universe. The Star Cluster Alliance couldn't open up the situation in the Sacred Mark universe for the time being. He, however, could place pieces and lay out his plan in the Zhantian universe. Setting aside everything else, as long as he developed and built up the territory, and then mobilized the territory's warriors to gather War Heaven Stone, he could make a fortune. But the potential of the Zhantian universe was definitely not limited to War Heaven Stone alone. Therefore, he needed to make a certain degree of initial investment to build a powerful and dominant territory. Then, using this territory as the center, he would begin exploring the Zhantian universe in all directions. In the Zhantian universe, both the Wanderers and the Zhantian clan were his enemies. These enemies must naturally be completely eliminated, lest they interfere with his grand plan. After all the warriors of Snow Mountain Territory had obtained the weapons they desired, Gu Qijue also brought out some super energy turrets, protector structures, and energy shield generators to safeguard the entire territory. The people from the Star Cluster Alliance would understand these things without explanation. On the Snow Mountain Territory side, however, he needed to explain what each item was for and how to utilize it. Fortunately, all the weapons of this type he brought were black boxes. Just like mobile phones, users didn't need to know how the phone's operating system ran, nor did they need to know the principle of the chip. They only needed simple instruction to know how to use the mobile phone. Many of these Infinite Technology series weapons utilized idiot-proof operation. With a simple explanation, the people of the territory understood. Next, Gu Qijue spent some time leading everyone to deploy various weapons and equipment everywhere. Before long, Snow Mountain Territory was built into a technologically advanced territory, integrating integrated offense, defense, reconnaissance, and combat. In the following days, everyone in Snow Mountain Territory familiarized themselves with various technological weapons and the super energy weapons in their hands. When Gu Qijue first announced war against the Wanderers, everyone thought the territory was finished. Now that everyone had obtained premium weapons and the territory was fully armed, many warriors of Snow Mountain Territory began to feel eager to try them out. Facts proved that the Wanderers were also asking for trouble. Just when the people of Snow Mountain Territory were sharpening their blades, eyeing the Wanderers' necks, these Wanderers actually took the initiative to attack a reconnaissance team from Snow Mountain Territory. Their actions instantly enraged the people of Snow Mountain Territory. Gu Qijue, sensing that morale was high enough to utilize, did not suppress the crowd. He held a silver spear and appeared above Snow Mountain Territory. His majestic and dominating voice swept across all directions at this moment. Snow Mountain Territory, All warriors heed my command, follow me on campaign, and annihilate all wanderers near Snow Mountain territory. Gu Qijue's words were not only heard by the many warriors of Snow Mountain territory, the myriad race beings gathered near Snow Mountain territory, as well as large numbers of wanderers heard them too. Upon hearing Gu Qijue issue such an order, many people felt that Gu Qijue must have lost his mind and made a terrible mistake. It wasn't until Gu Qijue's ice dragon clone led the many warriors of Snow Mountain territory out to kill that everyone immediately changed their minds. End of chapter 418. A battle as easy as mowing down enemies. Build a mound of bells. The wanderers around the Snow Mountain territory were relatively familiar with it. If the Snow Mountain territory's strength had been terrifying, they naturally wouldn't have dared to come here seeking death. According to their previous investigation, the Snow Mountain territory's strength was mediocre. Territories like this were ripe for extortion, but at this moment, the numerous wanderers from all directions realized that something seemed wrong. For some unknown reason, the people of the Snow Mountain territory had actually charged out at this time. What is going on? Are the people of this territory crazy? Are they trying to make enemies of us wanderers? There were many wanderers in this place, and these wanderers had dealt with many territories. But this was the first time they had encountered such a crazy territory. Without a word, everyone in the territory charged out to fight them. Although the wanderers were scattered forces, they were not a rabble that would collapse at the first touch. Every wanderer was a battle-hardened warrior. The myriad race beings had only two enemies, the Zhantian clan and the wanderers. But these wanderers not only had to fight the Zhantian clan and the myriad race beings, but also other wanderers. Without sufficiently powerful strength, judgment, and luck, they would not have survived until now. When Gu Qijue's ice dragon clone led the people of the Snow Mountain territory in a charge, powerful wanderers successively spoke up, stopping the surrounding wanderers from confronting Gu Qijue. Don't let them scare you. Everyone, this territory is no different from all the territories before it. They are merely putting on a show of strength right now. As long as we show them a little color, they will compromise. By then, whether it's resources, weapons, women, or anything else we need, they will obediently offer them up. Just like other territories, this wanderer was clearly very skilled at stirring up emotions. His words stabilized the figures of some wanderers who had wanted to retreat temporarily. Subsequently, some frantic wanderers ignored everything and launched an attack against Gu Qijue and the people of the Snow Mountain territory. Kill, teach them a lesson. Let these ants, who usually only dare to hide in their territory and cling to life, know how formidable we are. Kill, 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 kill. The numerous wanderers were all savage individuals. Thinking that taking down the Snow Mountain territory would yield cultivation resources, weapons, other supplies, and women to warm their beds, they had no thought of retreating, and were even preparing to break into the Snow Mountain territory in one breath. They felt that their current choice was correct, but these wanderers did not know that they had already given up their last shred of hope for survival. Swoosh! Gu Qijue's ice dragon clone also used a blood spear as a weapon. This blood spear was not formed by condensing energy, but was a superpowered weapon manufactured by infinite technology, possessing extremely formidable might. When Gu Qijue appeared above the battlefield, 7 or 8 wanderers charged directly toward him without a word. But Gu Qijue's expression remained unchanged. He merely swept the blood spear in his hand in a half circle in front of him. A blood-red blade light immediately swept forward with the speed of lightning. A few successive sounds rang out. The wanderers struck by the blood light were instantly and overwhelmingly killed by Gu Qijue before they could even react. In front of Gu Qijue, let alone fighting back, they didn't even have a chance to beg for mercy. This sight truly stunned all the wanderers. The wanderers who had just attacked Gu Qijue were all E-rank and above, and some were even E-rank cosmic-level peak wanderers. A large number of myriad race beings had previously been entrenched near the Snow Mountain territory. After learning that the Snow Mountain territory was at war with the wanderers, many people came upon hearing the news. They certainly weren't coming to help, but to pick up scraps. Normally, the Snow Mountain territory would soon be wiped out. After the wanderers finished plundering the Snow Mountain territory, there would usually be some leftovers. And these were exactly what the numerous weaker myriad race beings craved. But when everyone arrived near the battlefield where the two sides were fighting, they witnessed a scene so shocking their eyeballs nearly popped out. The Lord of the Snow Mountain territory was simply too fierce. He charged into the crowd of wanderers alone, thrusting left and right along the way, sweeping away all opposition. Although the number of wanderers was considerable and there were many powerful individuals among them, yet Gu Qijue was like entering an uninhabited land. slaughtering them until they were utterly defeated. This was only Gu Qijue's true body, unable to enter the Zhantian universe. Otherwise, these wanderers would immediately understand what true cruelty was. At this moment, the myriad race beings and the wanderers were greatly shocked by Gu Qijue's formidable display. What they didn't know was that the people of the Snow Mountain territory were equally shocked beyond measure. They knew their lord was strong, but they didn't know their lord was stronger than they had imagined. Yi-Fi looked at Gu Qijue, who was Musu-style mowing throughout the entire battle, and was so shocked she didn't know what words to use to describe her feelings. Gu Qijue could not only instantly kill F-rank and E-rank cosmic-level warriors, but he could now instantly kill D-rank cosmic-level warriors in a single move. The outcome of this battle was now without any suspense. The wanderers who had been clamoring earlier were now either running away scrambling, or had turned into cold corpses. Gu Qijue likewise did not spare the fleeing wanderers. It was just that these wanderers were escaping in all directions. A very small number of wanderers ran too fast, and he couldn't chase and kill all of them. Even so, he still achieved fame in the Snow Mountain territory after this battle. When Gu Qijue reappeared above the Snow Mountain territory battlefield, all the warriors of the Snow Mountain territory, as well as the surrounding myriad race beings. At this moment, they all uniformly knelt on one knee, offering him the highest respect. Gu Qijue did not waste time. After looking around and seeing Yi-Fi, he spoke. Yi-Fi, chop off the heads of all the wanderers and use their heads to build a Jingyuan. From now on, the Snow Mountain territory will have only one attitude toward any wanderer who offends it: kill. Hearing this, Yi-Fi respectfully saluted and said, "As you command, Lord." After speaking, she began calling the warriors of the Snow Mountain territory to clean up the battlefield. As for the matter of building the Jingyuan, Tai Yi voluntarily asked for the task. His entire family, young and old, died at the hands of the wanderers, and his wife was tortured to death by those bastards in an incredibly humiliating and cruel manner. For every wanderer, he wished he could slice them into 1,000 pieces and mince their bodies into 10,000 parts. End of chapter 419. Expand your territory, join the Star Alliance. The first battle between the Snow Mountain territory and the Wanderers was undoubtedly a bit of a farce. The Wanderers, who were previously notorious, turned out to be paper tigers in front of the Snow Mountain territory. At first, the myriad race beings thought that Gu Qijue had provoked so many wanderers he had kicked an iron plate. Unexpectedly, the final result showed that not only did he not kick an iron plate, he even pinched cotton. Even the somewhat famous D-rank wanderers were still like clay chickens and dogs before him, unable to withstand a single blow. A pyramid was quickly built at the site where the Snow Mountain territory and the wanderers clashed. However, the materials for this pyramid were a bit special. The base of the pyramid was made of headless corpses from the wanderers. The top of the pyramid was adorned with human heads. Tai Yi seemed to be very fond of this kind of performance art, so he was very serious when doing it. He was like an artist meticulously carving his artwork. The myriad race beings near the Snow Mountain territory, seeing this scene, did not feel scared at all. They all had family members who died at the hands of the Zhantian clan or the Wanderers. Seeing the Wanderers die here, not only were they not afraid, but they also lamented that they were too weak to personally avenge their enemies. Many myriad race beings below F-rank found warriors of the Snow Mountain territory to apply. They hoped that next time, they could help the Snow Mountain territory build a Jingyuan. Of course, ordinary warriors couldn't make decisions on such matters, so their applications were in vain. Snow Mountain territory. Lord's Hall. Gu Qijue's ice dragon clone sat imposingly on the main seat at the top. Standing respectfully below were Yi-Fi, Horn, and Tai Yi. Unlike before, the three of them now looked at Gu Qijue with 12 parts respect and reverence. Gu Qijue's powerful strength had completely conquered them. In the Lord's Hall, Gu Qijue's indifferent voice came out. "How are things now?" Yi-Fi immediately replied. "There is no latest news from the Wanderer's side, but I have sent out a great many scouts to gather information from all directions. As long as there's a big movement from the Wanderers, our scouts will receive the news. Currently, there are a large number of myriad race beings in the Snow Mountain territory who want to join the Snow Mountain territory. Among these people, there should even be wanderers in our territory. For these people, I have temporarily not allowed them to join the Snow Mountain territory." Yi-Fi paused here, then she continued. "Around the Snow Mountain territory, there are currently a large number of myriad race beings gathered. Regarding these weak myriad race beings, whether to disperse them or how to handle them, please instruct, Lord." After Yi-Fi finished her report, Gu Qijue had a plan in mind. He built the Snow Mountain territory not to show off his might, but to obtain resources. The resource he currently needed was War Heaven Stone. War Heaven Stone was ubiquitous and could be collected even without F-rank cosmic level strength. So, in principle, the more people in the territory, the better. After he developed and built the territory, he could also let the territory's warriors explore other places for other resources. His Snow Mountain territory, with the Infinite Empire and even the Star Cluster Alliance as its backing, could develop like a snowball. Even now, as long as he let all the citizens of the territory collect War Heaven Stone, he could make a fortune. After careful consideration, Gu Qijue said to Yi-Fi and the other two, Yi-Fi, you will be fully responsible for the construction of the territory from now on. The pace of the territory's development and its population will all be managed by you. My opinion is that the more people in the territory, the better. Strength is not important. As for the territory's development speed, of course, the faster the better. If it were before, Yi-Fi would have definitely tried to persuade Gu Qijue not to do this. Beings below F rank were a burden to the territory and not of much use. After the recent battle and the events that happened before and after it, Yi-Fi wisely chose to obey this time. Gu Qijue's command like this must have a reasonable consideration. After Yi-Fi respectfully accepted the order, Gu Qijue continued to give orders to Horn. Horn, from now on, you will be responsible for managing the territory's supplies and producing various goods. After some time, our territory needs to be able to trade normally with the outside world. Can you do this? Horn bowed respectfully upon hearing this, but after thinking for a moment, he spoke. Your Excellency, as far as I know, there are no other territories around us. Even if we produce some products, it seems there are no suitable trading partners. Also, what kind of goods should our territory produce? Horn has always been relatively cautious. His abilities are excellent, but he wouldn't take on Gu Qijue's commands recklessly. Rather, he would handle them carefully. Gu Qijue didn't know that there were no other territories around the Snow Mountain territory. Since they were the only ones in the vicinity, they couldn't trade externally and could only develop their internal economy. Developing the internal economy requires a large population. Since there were no other territories around, it would be very easy for the Snow Mountain territory to acquire a large population. Moreover, the Sacred Lion Secret Scroll could transfer materials between two universes. Once the Snow Mountain territory developed, the goods produced by the Snow Mountain territory could completely be sold to the Star Cluster Alliance. However, this matter was more complex and required the Snow Mountain territory's goods to be sufficiently competitive. Otherwise, they wouldn't sell at all. He could have the Infinite Engine research what goods the Star Cluster Alliance needed and which of those the Snow Mountain territory happened to be able to produce. Afterward, he would provide Horn with a production list and have him lead people to produce these items. Thinking of this, Gu Qijue said to Horn, you are still responsible for this matter. As for which goods need to be produced, I will provide you with a specific list and other corresponding support later. Horn, upon hearing this, bowed respectfully, as you command. Since Gu Qijue had spoken to this extent, even if Horn had questions, he had to say he had no questions, unless he didn't want to stay in the Snow Mountain territory anymore. Gu Qijue finally looked at Taiyi. He directly said to Taiyi, you are responsible for managing and training the warriors of the Snow Mountain territory. Taiyi said somewhat incredulously, am I also responsible for managing all the warriors now? Although not much time had passed, the situation in the Snow Mountain territory was different from before. Now, every warrior in the Snow Mountain territory possessed a top-grade weapon corresponding to their rank. To put it somewhat ironically, the weapons in the hands of many territory warriors were more valuable than their lives. After Taiyi asked, Gu Qijue nodded affirmingly. In the eyes of Taiyi and the others, the warriors of the Snow Mountain territory were already very elite, but to Gu Qijue, these warriors were still a rabble. Just like a long, long time ago when he was still in school, his teacher often said, you are the worst class I have ever taught. Now, the warriors of the Snow Mountain territory were in such a situation for him. End of chapter 420. To make matters worse, the army of wanderers is gathering. The Snow Mountain territory performed exceptionally well during its first encounter with the wanderers. Their performance even exceeded everyone's expectations. However, whether the Snow Mountain territory can have the last laugh remains unknown. The wanderers are a ferocious bunch, and they will retaliate if any territory appears and massacres them. The compromise and concession shown by many territories are exactly how these wanderers survive. Since they do not engage in production or manufacturing, they can only obtain resources through theft and plunder. Territory after territory, scattered everywhere, serves as a supply station for these wanderers. To ensure these ATMs allow them to withdraw funds forever, they must completely suppress any troublemakers that emerge. Otherwise, all territories would follow suit, leaving them no space to survive. The scouts of the Snow Mountain Territory quickly brought back a large amount of bad news from all directions. Inside the Lord's Hall of the Snow Mountain Territory, Gu Qijue was seated on the throne belonging to the Lord. At the very top, Yi Horn and Tai Yi were seated on the lower right side. Quite a few scouts had already gathered in the Lord's Hall. Their expressions were somewhat tense. It seemed they had encountered something terrifying on their mission. Gu Qijue looked at the scouts below and spoke calmly. "Don't be nervous. Tell me in detail what you found out." The scout below immediately bowed upon hearing this, after calming his mind. He spoke, his voice still trembling slightly. "Lord, I am the scout who was ordered to lead a team to gather information in the east. The scouts and I who went discovered a large number of warships gathering in the east. These warships are all land-flying ships, and they are filled with wanderers. According to our careful observation, the number of these wanderers might be around 6,000 to 8,000. Although the Snow Mountain Territory currently has a very large population, the number of combat personnel is not high. The combat personnel of the Snow Mountain Territory number only about 15,000. The remaining 70 to 80,000 people are all non-combat personnel below the F-rank cosmic level. So many enemies have appeared in the east alone. Then the total number of enemies this time is at least twice that of the Snow Mountain Territory, or even more. Although Gu Qijue previously led the warriors of the Snow Mountain Territory to defeat the Wanderers, the fear of the Wanderers in everyone's hearts has not been completely eliminated, especially since the number of Wanderers the territory must face this time is likely unbelievably high. After the first scout finished reporting, the second scout immediately stepped forward. This scout first bowed respectfully to Gu Qijue and then spoke with even greater nervousness. "Respected Lord, I am the scout captain who went south to gather intelligence. In the south, we discovered 3 organized groups of wanderers. These 3 groups of wanderers each have around 3,000 people. Together, their numbers already exceed 10,000. This news was undoubtedly somewhat frightening. There are 6,000 or perhaps 8,000 wanderers in the east. In the south, there are directly over 10,000 wanderers converging on the Snow Mountain Territory. The combat personnel of the Snow Mountain Territory are already at a numerical disadvantage." Next, the third scout supervisor finally delivered some good news. Reporting to the Lord, the number of wanderers in the west is relatively small, only about 2,000 people. However, these wanderers brought some bad news. It seems there are varying numbers of Zhantian clan members approaching the Snow Mountain Territory. Compared to the wanderers, the Zhantian clan is undoubtedly much harder to deal with. Wanderers are merely a group of bandits robbing homes, while the Zhantian clan is an incredibly elite regular army. Furthermore, in the Zhantian universe, the Zhantian clan has always been the ruler. If a large number of Zhantian clan members die in this place, the Snow Mountain Territory is bound to attract the attention of the Zhantian clan. If a myriad race territory is noticed by the Zhantian clan, the fate of that myriad race territory is sealed. Complete annihilation. Even during the most powerful and prosperous time of the myriad race beings, they could not fight against the Zhantian clan. As for now, the myriad race beings can only hide and barely survive under the slaughter of the Zhantian clan, completely lacking the ability to wage a major war against them. After the third scout captain, the fourth scout captain brought extremely bad news. This person stepped forward, bowed to Gu Qijue, and then stammered, "Lord, this is terrible news." This person was not a stutterer. The reason his body was shaking and his speech was halting was that he was injured. Moreover, the scouts who went north saw something truly terrifying. He steadied himself and continued, "Lord, the scouts we sent north to gather information discovered over 30,000 wanderers in the north, converging in this direction. What should we do?" Gu Qijue had enjoyed the killing before, but after killing those wanderers, he had truly stirred up a hornet's nest. 6,000 to 8,000 in the east, 10,000 in the south, 2,000 in the west, and 30,000 in the north. In other words, the total number of wanderers this time is around 48,000, possibly even 50,000. Besides the wanderers, there might also be Zhantian clan members approaching this direction. The Snow Mountain territory currently has only 15,000 combat personnel. The number of enemies is more than 3 times theirs. Even if they repel the Wanderers, they still have to face the even more terrifying Zhantian clan warriors. Facing this situation, it was no wonder the last scout was so terrified and despairing. It wasn't just the scouts who were afraid, the gazes of Yi-Fi, Horn, and Tai Yi also became extremely solemn. The Snow Mountain territory has great potential, but its development time has simply been too short. If the Snow Mountain territory were given enough time to develop, things definitely wouldn't be like this. But since things have come to this, nothing they say matters anymore. What they need to consider now is how to survive this massive crisis. Horn was prudent and experienced in handling crises. After hearing the 4 scouts finish their reports, Horn wasted no time and immediately stated his position. "Lord, we must leave. This time we must face at least 48,000 enemies, and we only have 15,000 combat personnel. Even if our weapons and equipment are superior to theirs, we are still at a severe disadvantage. Furthermore, even if we can resist the Wanderers, we are powerless to contend with the Zhantian clan. Currently, our strength is still too weak. Only by preserving ourselves can we achieve greater development in the future. Only by preserving ourselves will we eventually have the capital to fight against the Zhantian clan." Horn's suggestion was to retreat immediately, but Gu Qijue was not prepared to do so. End of chapter 421, Silver Dragon, perfect defense, invincible in melee. After Horn finished speaking, Gu Qijue looked at Tai Yi and Yi-Fi and asked, "What are your opinions? Do you two also advocate for retreat?" Yi-Fi immediately nodded. "Lord, actually 48,000, or even 50,000 Wanderers, are not unconquerable for the current Snow Mountain territory. The warriors of the Snow Mountain territory possess extremely high-grade weapons. Furthermore, the entire Snow Mountain territory has been built and developed into an impenetrable fortress by us. In this situation, 50,000 Wanderers would find it difficult to breach the Snow Mountain territory. The real problem right now is the potential appearance of the Zhantian clan. The Snow Mountain territory is not afraid of the Wanderers, but it lacks the capital to contend with the Zhantian clan. Therefore, I suggest we immediately arrange for everyone to evacuate to various places for refuge." After Yi-Fi finished, Tai Yi offered a different, rather pessimistic view. He said, "Lord, the Wanderers have already formed a 4-sided encirclement around us. At a time like this, it will be difficult for us to break through and leave. Even if we could leave the E-tier and F-tier, and below F-tier myriad race beings would essentially all be left behind here. The number of people who can ultimately escape won't be very large. Since that is the case, we might as well use the various weapons and equipment of the Snow Mountain territory to fight a major battle against the Wanderers. Even if we cannot resist the subsequent attack of the Zhantian clan, we can still kill as many Wanderers as possible to take down with us." Tai Yi felt that the situation this time was severe. At this point, it was too late for everyone to evacuate. In such circumstances, rather than scattering and being defeated by the Wanderers one by one, it was better to fight them head-on. Tai Yi's words caused both Yi-Fi and Horn to frown deeply. Neither Yi-Fi nor Horn was ready to give up easily, although the current situation was indeed extremely urgent. Even having reached this stage, there was still room for recovery. Gu Qijue's strength was immense, and all the warriors of the Snow Mountain territory possessed the most high-grade weapons. If Gu Qijue led everyone and put their full strength into breaking out in one direction, they might not necessarily fail to escape. Yi-Fi and Horn immediately prepared to speak, intending to persuade Gu Qijue and Tai Yi not to give up easily. As the saying goes, where there's life, there's hope. If they stayed in the Snow Mountain territory to fight to the death, their demise would hold little meaning. However, something Yi-Fi, Horn, and Tai Yi had not expected happened at that moment. Gu Qijue said, "Everyone, there's no need to be afraid or so pessimistic. I have reinforcements that can deal with these Wanderers. For the time being, let everyone carry on with their duties. There's no need to worry about anything else." Gu Qijue's words completely stunned Yi-Fi and the others. Even if Gu Qijue had reinforcements, he shouldn't be so dismissive of the enemy. After all, the number of Wanderers they were facing this time was simply too high. Gu Qijue, however, had no intention of continuing the topic. Instead, he went outside the Lord's Hall, ascended a high platform, and gazed into the distance. As long as the people in the territory looked up, they could see where the Lord was. As long as the Lord did not flee, the people naturally wouldn't panic. Gu Qijue's presence on the high platform was not solely to reassure the people. He was contemplating whether to use the infinite engine to manufacture mechanical golden lions here, or other similar war machines. Facing this situation, relying only on his ice dragon clone was insufficient. Although the ice dragon clone was not weak, it was not as formidable as his main body. However, if he used the infinite engine to manufacture 3,000 mechanical golden lions, or similar war machines, in this location, he wouldn't even need to manufacture C-tier ones. Manufacturing only D-tier ones would be enough to ensure the Wanderer army and the Zhantian clan would never return. Today, the Infinite Engine can not only utilize Crystal Clan technology, but has also mastered the fusion technology of the Infinite Empire. Not only has the Infinite Engine's capability improved, but Gu Qijue also now controls the extremely formidable high-end materials like Zhantian alloy. After careful consideration, Gu Qijue immediately decided to design and manufacture a type of war machine specifically tailored to the actual conditions of the Zhantian universe. He commanded the Infinite Engine, use infinite technology and Zhantian alloy, combined with the situation in the Zhantian universe to design some war machines. The Infinite Engine received the command and immediately began operating. War machine design in progress. Please wait. Zhantian universe data analysis and integration in progress. Please wait. Based on the actual circumstances of the Zhantian universe, the Silver Dragon war machine is now being designed. Design complete. Please check. The efficiency of the Infinite Engine was as fast as ever. Before long, 5 models of the Silver Dragon war machine were designed. Although there were 5 models of the Silver Dragon war machine, the main differences between Silver Dragon 1 to Silver Dragon 5 lay in their appearance, paint scheme, and specialization. For example, Silver Dragon 1 focused on chassis strength, utilizing the strongest Zhantian alloy. Its defensive capability was extremely powerful, but it was somewhat lacking in attack. A D-tier Silver Dragon 1 could even stand still and allow the Zhantian clan to attack it without being easily destroyed. However, Silver Dragon 1 was not impressive in terms of attack, flight, or energy control. Gu Qijue did not adopt this design plan. This plan could be kept, but it needed to be upgraded, iterated upon, and its weaknesses addressed. Afterward, Gu Qijue began reviewing Silver Dragon 2. Silver Dragon 2 was a balanced type, capable of everything, but neither offense nor defense stood out. If there were no better options, Gu Qijue would have chosen Silver Dragon 2. But after quickly scanning the other 3 designs, he immediately decided to choose Silver Dragon 4. Silver Dragon 4's weakness was its poor long-range attack capability and lack of large-scale area damage. However, Silver Dragon 4's melee combat ability was nearly invincible among D-tiers. Whether it was a Wanderer or a Zhantian clan member, if Silver Dragon 4 got close, they would face certain death at the same tier level. Silver Dragon 4 not only possessed the formidable defense capability of Silver Dragon 1, but also had extremely perfect close-quarters combat ability. Although their long-range attack capability and large-scale area attack capability were severely lacking, this could be solved by equipping them with additional weapons and gear. Therefore, Gu Qijue immediately ordered, completely remove Silver Dragon 4's long-range attack capability and large-scale area attack capability. At the same time, optimize Silver Dragon 4's defensive power and close-quarters combat ability to the extreme. Such modifications were extremely simple for the Infinite Engine. Soon, the Infinite Engine provided the final design draft for Silver Dragon 4 according to Gu Qijue's requirements. After Gu Qijue reviewed it carefully, he immediately finalized the plan. Based on this design draft, manufacture 3,000 Silver Dragon 4 war machines. End of chapter 422, 3,000 Silver Dragon guards. Champagne is popping at halftime when the Infinite Engine began manufacturing the Silver Dragon 4 war machines. Gu Qijue gave the Silver Dragon 4 a name, Silver Dragon Guard. Unlike the fully functional mechanical golden lions, the Silver Dragon Guard are generally only used for close combat. Although the Silver Dragon Guard can engage in long-range and ultra-long-range combat after being equipped with external weapons. However, the design concept of the Silver Dragon Guard is extreme close combat. They can only maximize their effectiveness in melee. Gu Qijue is now one of the top 3 spokespersons in the Star Cluster Alliance, possessing immense wealth and power. Furthermore, the main materials used to manufacture the Silver Dragon Guard are the War Heaven Stone of the Zhantian universe. Therefore, manufacturing these 3,000 Silver Dragon Guard was merely a drop in the ocean for him. The reason for only manufacturing 3,000 Silver Dragon Guard was to conserve resources. Under the current circumstances, 3,000 Silver Dragon Guard were already sufficient, and manufacturing more would serve no purpose. Additionally, two other very important reasons prevented him from choosing to manufacture more Silver Dragon Guard. One reason was that the speed of iteration and updates for infinite technology was extremely fast. The latest technology of today would soon become obsolete. The other reason was that he was unsure whether the Silver Dragon Guard could achieve the desired results on the battlefield, and whether the first generation of Silver Dragon Guard was truly perfect, or if there were still areas that needed modification. In short, these 3,000 first-generation Silver Dragon Guard were merely prototypes. Gu Qijue would only manufacture them in large quantities if they performed well on the battlefield and did not require immediate upgrades or iteration. However, if the manufacturing of the Silver Dragon Guard was solely for war purposes, then 3,000 Silver Dragon Guard were enough to solve the problem. The atmosphere in the Snow Mountain territory grew tense once again. After Gu Qijue's last great battle with the Wanderers, external views on the Snow Mountain territory became polarized. Some believed that the Snow Mountain territory was extremely powerful, and defecting to it was an excellent choice. Others felt that since the Snow Mountain territory openly challenged the Wanderers, they would soon face terrible misfortune. Currently, the latter view seemed to be correct, because as time passed, not 48,000 Wanderers gathered around the Snow Mountain territory, but over 50,000 Wanderers. These Wanderers were not rushing to attack the Snow Mountain territory. They wanted the people of the Snow Mountain territory to live in deep fear. They wanted Gu Qijue, along with his subjects, to die painfully in fear and despair. The myriad race beings originally settled near the Snow Mountain territory had all fled by this time. These myriad race beings, along with others who had come upon hearing the news, were now nervously watching the direction of the Snow Mountain territory from afar. In the places where the myriad race beings gathered, these warriors from the Zhantian universe and the myriad races of the heavens were talking nervously. The Snow Mountain territory is in trouble this time. If only their attitude towards the Wanderers hadn't been so aggressive before. After the first person finished speaking, someone next to him immediately chimed in. Yes, the treatment in the Snow Mountain territory is actually very good. You might not believe it, but Lord Gu Qijue has equipped every territory warrior with top-tier weapons corresponding to their rank. Under normal circumstances, many people wouldn't even have the chance to touch such weapons, let alone own them. Because Gu Qijue treated the people of the Snow Mountain territory well, and he was also very friendly to the myriad race beings. Therefore, everyone hoped that the Snow Mountain territory could hold out, although Gu Qijue had the support and hope of the people. The combined fighting power of the Snow Mountain territory and the myriad race beings was still inferior to that of 50,000 Wanderers. Therefore, everyone knew that once the Wanderers launched their attack, the Snow Mountain territory would become history. These 50,000 Wanderers gathered here were certainly not here for sightseeing. At some point, they would swarm forward and launch the most terrifying attack on the Snow Mountain territory. Inside the Snow Mountain territory, facing the imminent siege, panic was inevitable among the populace. Looking at the Wanderer army of over 50,000 outside the territory, everyone subconsciously looked toward the high platform in front of the Lord's Hall. A massive ice shield appeared on that high platform. Inside the ice shield, Gu Qijue's image remained clear. However, the people of the territory had no way of knowing what else was happening inside the massive ice shield. Naturally, there was a secret inside this massive ice shield. The Silver Dragon Guard appeared one after another. Gu Qijue wanted to see what the actual combat capability of these Silver Dragon Guard was like. If the Silver Dragon Guard were far inferior to the mechanical Golden Lions, then he would simply focus entirely on developing the mechanical Golden Lions in the future. If he were to completely conquer the Zhantian universe one day, he could even use the Zhantian universe as his barracks, and then use the Infinite Engine to develop a large number of cutting-edge war machines. The production efficiency of the Infinite Engine was slightly lower than that of the Infinite Manufacturing Base. The Infinite Engine had more comprehensive functions, was smaller, or even lacked volume entirely, allowing it to be carried anywhere. It also did not require a dedicated location for use. The Infinite Intelligent Manufacturing Base did not possess these advantages. However, 3,000 Silver Dragon Guard did not constitute significant production pressure for the Infinite Engine. Without even waiting for the 50,000 Wanderers to launch their attack, The 3,000 silver dragon guard were already fully manufactured. At this moment, Gu Qijue witnessed the Wanderer's audacious move. Over 50,000 Wanderers began singing the Wanderer's Song near the Snow Mountain territory. The so-called Wanderer's Song was a widely circulated song among the Wanderers. The song introduced the Wanderer's way of life, and nearly every Wanderer knew how to sing it, since the Wanderer's Song was ringing out from all directions around the territory. That meant Gu Qijue and the Snow Mountain territory had been completely surrounded by the Wanderers. The effect of this was no less lethal than the songs of Chu from four sides was to the Chu army. Of course, that only applied to the ordinary warriors and common subjects of the territory. As Gu Qijue, the supreme ruler of the Snow Mountain territory, heard the Wanderer's Song echoing from all directions, he just wanted to tell these 50,000 Wanderers that their actions were essentially celebrating too early. If they started singing and celebrating now, they definitely wouldn't even know how they died later. All around the Snow Mountain territory, many Wanderers, seeing that the people of the Snow Mountain territory were holed up and refusing to come out, actually started their victory celebration. According to Gu Qijue's initial plan, he was going to contend with these Wanderers when they launched their attack on the Snow Mountain territory, but upon discovering that these Wanderers had started their victory celebration early, Gu Qijue changed his mind. He wanted to turn the Wanderers' victory celebration into a final meal inside the Snow Mountain territory. Yifei, Horn, and Tai quickly saw. On the high platform of the territory square, 4 figures appeared from 4 directions and headed out to kill beyond the territory. 423, reinforcements have arrived. Use piecemeal tactics to annihilate the entire enemy. Yifei, Horn, and Tai all knew that the Snow Mountain territory had reinforcements. Gu Qijue had mentioned this to them before, but didn't elaborate at the time. But Yifei still asked with a strange expression, "Are these 4 our reinforcements for the Snow Mountain territory? Isn't this a bit too much of a joke? And how did these 4 reinforcements appear in the territory? Do we have some kind of teleportation array in our territory?" Yifei asked 4 questions in a row, but neither Horn nor Tai could answer any of them. After all, they would never have imagined that the reinforcements the Lord mentioned would only consist of 4 people. If their reinforcements only numbered 4, then there would be almost no difference between having them or not, unless these 4 reinforcements possessed the terrifying combat power of Gu Qijue. But even then, they could only kill more Wanderers. They couldn't truly break the deadlock. As for how these 4 reinforcements appeared in the Snow Mountain territory, Yifei and the other 2 couldn't figure it out. After all, the Snow Mountain territory had entered a state of complete defense. Under normal circumstances, not even a mosquito should be able to fly into the Snow Mountain territory. Although the Silver Dragon Guard were primarily made of Zhantian alloy, they appeared in human form. They gave off the impression of shapeshifted dragons. Many people saw the scene of the Silver Dragon Guard rushing out of the Snow Mountain territory and charging towards the Wanderers. Upon seeing this, everyone in the Snow Mountain territory, as well as the myriad race beings and numerous Wanderers, were extremely astonished. From the Wanderers' side, waves of merciless laughter erupted. Ha 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 ha, the people of Snow Mountain territory are crazy. Actually running out one by one to die? Ha ha ha, I'll go kill this person charging at us. The Wanderers from all directions didn't take the Silver Dragon Guard seriously. If it were Gu Qijue or Tai charging out, everyone would still have some apprehension. However, now the one charging out of the Snow Mountain territory was neither Gu Qijue nor Tai. Since that was the case, there was nothing to fear. Even if it were Yifei or Horn charging out, they would not return this time. Inside the Snow Mountain territory, Yifei and the other 2 had already arrived on the high platform. Gu Qijue's figure instantly vanished from the giant ice shield and appeared before the 3 of them. All 3 were very curious about Gu Qijue's intentions this time. They were also curious about what was inside the giant ice shield behind Gu Qijue. Yifei was the first to ask, "Lord, are those 4 who just went out our reinforcements? Why did the Lord let them out?" After Yifei finished speaking, Horn and Tai also looked at Gu Qijue. They too wanted to know Gu Qijue's thoughts. Gu Qijue, however, had no intention of explaining. He said to the 3, "Just watch patiently and you'll understand." This answer, of course, couldn't resolve the doubts in Yifei's and the others' hearts. But since Gu Qijue had said so, the 3 of them just needed to watch patiently. It didn't matter if the 3 didn't watch, but when they looked at the Silver Dragon Guard again, they were stunned. These 4 Silver Dragon Guard all erupted with terrifying power at the D-tier peak. In their hands, each wielded a Fangshan Jai, and they began to rampage through the Wanderer army. As long as they were within their attack range, almost no wanderer was safe. While the 4 Silver Dragon Guard were rampaging, a large number of attacks also continuously bombarded the Silver Dragon Guard. But an astonishing scene appeared. The Silver Dragon Guard's defense was actually comparable to that of the Zhantian clan. The difference was that the Zhantian clan were extremely skilled in long-range and even ultra-long-range energy attacks. The Zhantian clan were not only skilled in single-target energy attacks, but also in large-scale area of effect attacks. The Silver Dragon Guard, however, were different. They seemed only skilled in close combat. Even so, these Silver Dragon Guard were still incredibly terrifying. Their attack power was extremely overbearing, and their defense was terrifying to the extreme. These 4 Silver Dragon Guard appeared in the Wanderer army and began to cut through them like grass, slaughtering all in their path. Yifei, Horn, and Taiyi were instantly overjoyed. Taiyi proactively volunteered, "Lord, let's have a decisive battle with these Wanderers. Even if we're not a match for these Wanderers, we can still kill to our heart's content this time." Horn immediately spoke to stop him. "No, it would be best to bring these 4 powerhouses back now. Their combat power is extremely terrifying. With these 4 powerhouses, plus the Lord, plus the territory's defensive measures, and the combined efforts of everyone in the territory. As long as we grit our teeth, we can definitely resist the Wanderers' attack. If the Zhantian clan really approaches and the Wanderers fail to break through for a long time, they will flee. We can use this time to prepare for evacuation. Once the Wanderers retreat, we will also quickly evacuate according to the evacuation plan. Afterward, we can find a suitable place and rise again." Horn was always prudent and didn't easily decide to fight to the death. After Horn finished speaking, Yifei nodded in agreement. "Lord, I believe Your Excellency Horn is correct. If we follow Your Excellency Horn's method, we should be able to get through this danger." Gu Qijue smiled and said to Yifei and the others, "No need for such trouble." As his voice fell, another 4 figures appeared outside the giant ice shield. Then these 4 Silver Dragon Guard quickly plunged into the battlefield to provide support. Seeing this, Yifei's heart almost stopped and her gaze was blank. There were actually another 4 reinforcements like the previous ones. Horn also widened his cloudy old eyes, thinking with immense shock. Where did so many top powerhouses come from? Taiyi made a fist and palm gesture and slammed them together forcefully. He exclaimed in ecstasy, "Lord, lead us into battle." Gu Qijue smiled, "No rush. Just watch." As his voice fell, figures began to appear continuously outside the giant ice shield. Just now, Yifei and the others were merely shocked. Upon seeing this scene, they became numb. Gu Qijue didn't throw all 3,000 Silver Dragon Guard into the battle at once, fearing that the Wanderers would be scared away. Last time they fought the Wanderers, many of them were scared away by him. Later, he chased for a long time but couldn't catch those Wanderers. This time, he wanted these Wanderers to see the hope of victory. This way, they would fiercely besiege the Silver Dragon Guard instead of fleeing. At this moment, only 400 Silver Dragon Guard had appeared on the battlefield. There were exactly 100 in each direction. When they were all heavily besieged and struggling, Gu Qijue dispatched another 400 Silver Dragon Guard to join the battle. He wanted to use these piecemeal tactics to annihilate all these Wanderers. End of chapter 424. 2 options. Morale can be boosted for a full-scale attack under normal circumstances. If a territory were surrounded by an army of 50,000 Wanderers, that territory would likely be on the verge of annihilation. However, the people of Snow Mountain Territory were relatively at ease when facing an army of 50,000 Wanderers. This was because Snow Mountain Territory possessed an incredibly formidable Silver Dragon Guard, and these Silver Dragon Guard were currently battling the Wanderer army. Gu Qijue noticed that, as the battle progressed, the Silver Dragon Guard still suffered casualties. But it didn't matter. The data source of the Silver Dragon Guard was synchronized with the Infinite Engine. Perhaps at some point, these Wanderers or the Zhantian clan would discover this. The Silver Dragon Guard they had just killed moments ago would miraculously revive the next moment. Although the Silver Dragon Guard suffered casualties, these Wanderers were still destined to die in this place. After the Silver Dragon Guard and the Wanderer army had fought until now, Gu Qijue was able to make a very accurate judgment. That is, only 2,000 Silver Dragon Guard were needed to eliminate these Wanderers. Gu Qijue could use the Infinite Engine to remanufacture Silver Dragon Guard, so he didn't care at all about their casualties. Yifei, Horn, and Taiyi, however, felt extremely distressed. In their view, these were valuable warriors for dealing with the Zhantian clan, and any casualty was not worth it. Even the seasoned and steady Horn could only say at this moment, "Lord, let's charge out. If we charge out now, we can reduce the deaths of the Silver Dragon Guard." Yi-Fi strongly agreed with Horn's view, and after Horn finished speaking, she also volunteered to fight. "Lord, the time has come. If we launch a full-scale attack now, we will surely eliminate these wanderers to the greatest extent possible. If all these wanderers die here for a long time to come, no wanderers will come to Snow Mountain territory to cause trouble." There was one more thing Yi-Fi didn't say. That is, if another large-scale wanderer army appeared next time, their numbers would be even more terrifying than this time. However, things that haven't happened yet don't need to be considered for now. Let's get through this current challenge first. Taiyi didn't speak this time, but he had long been ready to strike at any moment. He yearned to charge out now and have a thorough, satisfying battle. It wasn't just them. Large numbers of warriors had gathered from all directions around the Lord's Plaza, all prepared for a counterattack. Currently, there were already 2,000 Silver Dragon Guard on the battlefield. Even without sending everyone out, the battle could be resolved. It would just take more time. Gu Qijue pondered for a moment, then immediately said, "Yi-Fi and Horn will stay, everyone else is free to attack." Yi-Fi and Horn were not combat-oriented talents. Yi-Fi was a management talent, while Horn was a manufacturing and strategic talent. If the two of them rushed out to throw away their lives, it would be a huge loss for Snow Mountain territory. As for Taiyi, though it might sting a bit, Snow Mountain territory truly wasn't lacking in combat-oriented talents. Taiyi was slightly stunned when he heard Gu Qijue's order, however. He didn't think too deeply. Opportunities to freely hunt wanderers were certainly rare. With such a heaven-sent opportunity, he had to charge out and eliminate as many wanderers as possible. Upon hearing Gu Qijue's order to freely attack, the other warriors of the territory rushed out. As they charged out of the territory, something unexpected happened. Everyone in Snow Mountain territory thought the number of Silver Dragon Guard was around 2,000. Because after 2,000 Silver Dragon Guard rushed out from the ice shield, a long time passed without any more Silver Dragon Guard appearing. However, the many residents didn't expect that the number of Silver Dragon Guard was not 2,000, nor even a little over 2,000, but a full 3,000. While Gu Qijue allowed everyone to attack freely, he also sent the remaining 1,000 Silver Dragon Guard into battle. Under these circumstances, the warriors of Snow Mountain territory became even safer. Their charge wasn't a fight against wanderers on equal footing, but rather a decisive beating of a struggling opponent. Gu Qijue had never taken these wanderers seriously. Combat units like wanderers, no matter how numerous, were just a disorganized rabble. If 50,000 Zhantian clan warrior had appeared here, then he would have to pay a little more attention. He had no interest in watching the rest of the battle. His attention was focused on inviting the Star Cluster Alliance to join the fray. He now had two plans to get the Star Cluster Alliance involved. Plan A, publicly disclose the news of the Zhantian universe, inviting all parties of the Star Cluster Alliance to invest war machines and enter Snow Mountain territory for development and construction. This plan could significantly accelerate the development and construction speed of Snow Mountain territory. The current Star Cluster Alliance had experienced a long war with the Klein people. Under the baptism of war, every Star Cluster-level civilization had made great progress. But if a traitor emerged within the Star Cluster Alliance, other civilizations in the Sacred Mark universe would learn about the Zhantian universe. Gu Qijue was not worried about anyone in the Star Cluster Alliance targeting him now. Currently, only the Amethyst civilization and the Silver Flame civilization in the Star Cluster Alliance required his attention. But he had trump cards for self-preservation against both these civilizations. They couldn't do anything to him. What he was worried about was top-tier universe civilizations like the Phantom Eye civilization. At this stage, he still had no ability to resist when facing civilizations of that level. Therefore, the plan he truly intended to implement was Plan B, to help all parties of the Star Cluster Alliance better expand their territories in the interstellar space. The Infinite Empire would launch a large-scale simulated battlefield. Everyone in the Star Cluster Alliance could operate war machines provided by the Infinite Empire to engage in combat and other activities in the simulated battlefield. This was equivalent to the Star Cluster Alliance members operating the Infinite Empire's war machines to play a game in the Zhantian universe. As long as the Infinite Engine designed a reasonable set of rules, this could be done. For example, the war machines in Snow Mountain territory could not kill each other or harm the residents. With the Infinite Engine's level of intelligence, A comprehensive plan could be provided. By using these plans as the underlying settings for the war machines, the Star Cluster Alliance members could then play the game. If they made outstanding contributions while helping Snow Mountain territory with its development and construction, Gu Qijue could even reward these players. Doing so would maximize the utilization of the Star Cluster Alliance's population resources. Moreover, the better Snow Mountain territory developed and was constructed, the more resources Gu Qijue would obtain to bring back to the Sacred Mark universe and, in turn, benefit the Star Cluster Alliance. Although it was a bit dishonest for him to trick the Star Cluster Alliance into working for him, however, he wasn't taking all the benefits for himself. While he reaped immense profits, the Star Cluster Alliance would also get a share. After making up his mind, Gu Qijue began to implement this matter. As long as sufficient preparations were made, the Star Cluster Alliance could work for him without knowing about the Zhan Tian universe. End of chapter 425, Simulated Battlefield, deceiving the entire Alliance into working for them. Since the end of the Great War with the Klein people, the Star Cluster Alliance hasn't undertaken any major endeavors. Although every Star Cluster civilization is striving for development, the progress of each party has been very limited. Even the Infinite Empire, on which everyone placed high hopes, didn't come up with anything special this time. While the Infinite Empire is in a leading position in terms of progress, its lead is limited. However, many still believe that Chief Gu Qijue of the Infinite Empire is brewing a big move. Based on past experience, when Gu Qijue was causing trouble everywhere, that was actually when there was least to worry about, because everyone could clearly see what he was doing and respond accordingly. But when he quieted down, things would become full of uncertainty. The most frightening thing is that every time he emerged from seclusion, he had a major move. Amidst many people's expectations, Gu Qijue indeed reappeared after a period of silence. However, he didn't appear in the Star Cluster Alliance's holographic conference room, nor did he go to the Star Cluster Alliance headquarters. Gu Qijue appeared on the Star Cluster Alliance's public channel. Not long ago, the interstellar citizens of various Star Cluster civilizations were chatting enthusiastically. The next moment, they were blinded by an extremely cool login effect that flashed their 24,000 titanium alloy dog eyes. This login effect was a trick developed by the Silver Flame civilization. The higher one's status in the Star Cluster Alliance, the more flamboyant the login effect. When Gu Qijue entered the Star Cluster Alliance's original communication channel, he initially thought the channel had been hacked. Upon closer inspection, he realized it was just a revised version. After the dazzling effects finished flashing, Gu Qijue officially began to speak. On the Star Cluster Alliance's public chat channel, the interstellar citizens of various Star Cluster civilizations instantly erupted in excitement. Chief Gu has emerged from seclusion. What major action does Chief Gu have this time? Has the Infinite Empire already opened up a new situation in interstellar exploration? Before Gu Qijue could even speak, an overwhelming flood of questions surged towards him. Fortunately, it wasn't a big problem. His imperial status in the Star Cluster Alliance was very high, and even an exclamation mark he posted would be stickied. Gu Qijue didn't answer everyone's questions. Instead, he began to trick the Star Cluster Alliance members into working for him. After careful consideration, I believe that during the future development and expansion of the Star Cluster Alliance, encountering formidable enemies is inevitable. Not only that, but in many places, we will also encounter situations where we need to establish bases from scratch. To enhance the ability of all warriors in the Star Cluster Alliance to cope with complex and ever-changing situations, the Infinite Empire has developed a simulated battlefield game. Everyone can operate the war machines provided by the Infinite Empire in the game to conduct highly realistic simulated combat and any other activities. Players who perform well in the simulated battlefield will receive incredibly generous rewards from the Infinite Empire. For specific details, please check them yourselves. Gu Qijue's words were equivalent to throwing dozens of nuclear bombs into the public chat channel. Many people in the Star Cluster Alliance were still expecting Gu Qijue to deliver some harsh words after emerging from seclusion. Unexpectedly, Gu Qijue directly burned out everyone's CPUs. During his disappearance, Gu Qijue had actually been so unprofessional as to develop a game. What was even more baffling was that they could play games and receive generous rewards in real money. Many who saw the reward list immediately thought of sending Gu Qijue for a urine test. This head of the Infinite Empire, The third most important figure in the Star Cluster Alliance had incredibly become a wealth-scattering child. Perhaps the demise of the Klein people had left Gu Qijue without a goal, causing this magnate to degenerate. However, many people still liked the degenerate magnate Gu Qijue very much, because he, the wealth-scattering child, truly scattered wealth. While others were still hesitating, many had already entered the game. They began operating war machines and exploring this game world called Zhantian Universe. Everyone's first impression was that this place was very backward, and not even a single starship could be seen. In such a place, everyone naturally felt they could achieve great things. These interstellar citizens of the Star Cluster Alliance, after entering the Zhantian universe, began frantically doing quests. After they completed the quests, a large number of rewards were immediately issued to them by the Infinite Empire. At this point, everyone in the Star Cluster Alliance was completely certain that Gu Qijue was no longer normal. Of course, true magnates wouldn't think this way. The high-ranking officials of various Star Cluster civilizations were all pondering what Gu Qijue was really up to. Based on their understanding of Gu Qijue, he would never do something without a purpose. The Amethyst civilization and the Silver Flame civilization even had the idea of replicating a similar game. Just like when Zuckerberg launched the metaverse, some tech companies around the world didn't even understand what it was, but they immediately followed suit and created one. The Amethyst civilization and the Silver Flame civilization have never been theoretical, they are practical. Their Zhantian universe simulated battlefield, although not yet launched, announced the news of its development one after another. Anyway, they were convinced that Gu Qijue's actions definitely had a long-term consideration. The Amethyst civilization and the Silver Flame civilization also happened to be wealthy. Whatever Gu Qijue did, they would replicate it exactly, ultimately. They would also gain the benefits that Gu Qijue received. If Gu Qijue's actions baffled the Star Cluster Alliance, then the actions of the Amethyst civilization and the Silver Flame civilization baffled Gu Qijue. He was painstakingly trying to trick the Star Cluster Alliance members into working for him, while the Amethyst civilization and the Silver Flame civilization were truly wealth-scattering children. The Zhantian universe truly exists, and the two universes can even stably exchange matter. The Amethyst civilization and the Silver Flame civilization were truly letting the citizens of the Star Cluster Alliance play games and then receive real money rewards. Although Gu Qijue really wanted to advise these two big brothers not to imitate everything, but if he tried to persuade them now, it definitely wouldn't work. Anyway, both of them are wealthy, and it's a good thing for them to benefit other members of the Star Cluster Alliance and help their brothers. This led to a small gaming craze sweeping through the Star Cluster Alliance. However, Gu Qijue's Zhantian universe still had a first-mover advantage, so most of the Star Cluster Alliance's traffic was with him. In the Snow Mountain territory, Yi-Fi and the others became somewhat bewildered, because during this period, many strangely behaving individuals appeared in the territory. Although the Lord had mentioned in advance that a large number of reinforcements would come to assist in the development and construction of the Snow Mountain territory. But weren't these reinforcements a little too strange? At this moment, Gu Qijue encountered something very interesting. Gu Qijue, the head of the Huyu star cluster, controlled a war machine and came before his ice dragon clone, asking, "Chief Gu, is this your game character or an NPC in the Zhantian universe?" End of chapter 426. Breakthrough to rank A, usher in a new era for the Star Sea. Gu Qijue gave a clever answer to Gu Qijue's question. "This is my game character in the Zhantian universe. However, when I'm not online, he's just an NPC." The Ice Dragon clone did not possess its own intelligence. When Gu Qijue wasn't controlling it, it would enter a dormant state. Of course, Gu Qijue could also issue cultivate commands or other orders to the Ice Dragon clone. As long as his instructions were specific enough, the Ice Dragon clone would execute them like a puppet on strings. The popularity of the Zhantian universe was initially very high, but after the initial phase, its popularity rapidly declined. Later on, only a group of gaming masters and those deeply interested in the Zhantian universe continued to explore it. This was exactly the effect Gu Qijue wanted. These Star Cluster Alliance interstellar citizens all thought they were playing a game. In reality, they were all working for him for free. Of course, it wasn't entirely free labor. After these interstellar citizens made corresponding contributions in the Snow Mountain territory of the Zhantian universe, they could receive genuine rewards from the Infinite Empire. Gu Qijue felt that the Amethyst civilization and Silver Flame civilization, who were blindly following suit, would soon give up on this loss-making venture of gaining popularity. After all, he was using the Star Cluster Alliance's interstellar citizens to work for him and snowball his development. The Amethyst civilization and Silver Flame civilization gained no benefits and were essentially doing charity work. Other members of the Star Cluster Alliance believed that all three of them would certainly not last long. Therefore, they should seize the opportunity to shear the wool from these three big spenders while they could. However, everyone was mistaken this time. Gu Qijue was tricking them into working for free, while the Amethyst civilization and Silver Flame civilization were not short of money. Even if the latter two continued to act as money-scattering boys, as they were now, they could maintain it indefinitely. Even the Infinite Empire, with its shallow foundation, dared to do this. As established overlords, there was no reason for them to stop before the Infinite Empire did. Leo King Star Cluster, Heavy Cold Star, Infinite Empire Headquarters. Gu Qijue's true body had always remained in the chief's cultivation zone. He developed the Snow Mountain territory not to open an insignificant small instance, but to establish a virtuous cycle system. This system was designed to have the Star Cluster Alliance's interstellar citizens work for him for free in the Snow Mountain territory. With the knowledge, creativity, and tireless efforts of the Star Cluster Alliance citizens, the Snow Mountain territory would develop and build very quickly. The stronger the Snow Mountain territory became, the more resources it would collect. Most of these resources flowed into Gu Qijue's pockets, while a small portion became rewards for the Star Cluster Alliance members. In this way, while Gu Qijue himself was raking in profits, the Star Cluster Alliance also progressed under his impetus. Furthermore, the raw materials obtained in the Zhantian universe would be sent to the Infinite Intelligent Manufacturing Center to be transformed into various high-tech products. These high-tech products could continuously enhance the strength of the Star Cluster Alliance, while Gu Qijue continuously obtained resources from all sides. Once this massive system officially began operating, it would benefit everyone. Regarding the Snow Mountain territory, the stronger the territory, the safer its residents would be. Such a mutually beneficial endeavor would naturally create a snowballing effect. In this process, Gu Qijue could obtain a massive amount of resources. The purpose of these massive resources was for advancement, not just to move forward, but to reach the goal in one go. Not only did he need to advance, but the Shadow Bone Dragon also needed to advance. He wanted the Shadow Bone Dragon and himself to directly advance to A-rank cosmic level in one breath. According to the Infinite Engine's calculations, the Infinite Empire currently had enough resources. However, if the Infinite Empire's reserve resources were used this way, the entire Infinite Empire would become financially strained for a long time to come. Therefore, he still needed to wait for the Snow Mountain territory and the Star Cluster Alliance to transfuse blood to the Infinite Empire for a period before he could do this. Star Cluster Alliance, Public Chat Channel. The original name of this channel was the Wartime Communication Channel, abbreviated as Communication Channel. The battle between the Star Cluster Alliance and the Klein people had ended a long time ago. This place had become a chat and casual discussion forum for the Star Cluster Alliance's interstellar citizens. Many people were aimlessly communicating on it. Has everyone noticed that Chief Gu of the Infinite Empire seems to have gone silent again? After the first person asked. A flurry of replies immediately appeared below. I guess Chief Gu is busy making little Chief Gus. After all, among the leaders of the various Star Cluster civilizations in the Star Cluster Alliance, Chief Gu is the only one without a direct heir. As soon as this person finished speaking, a beautiful girl immediately spoke up. If only I could create this crystallization of love with Chief Gu. At this point, the number of participants naturally increased dramatically. Beauty, let's create the crystallization of love together. Amethyst Star City. In the Southern Emperor Palace. Southern Emperor found the screen-filling messages on the public chat channel amusing. Southern Emperor paid attention to the public chat channel every day, and from it, he learned many new things. However, Southern Emperor was also curious. What exactly was Gu Qijue doing at this very moment? Since his appearance a while ago to release a simulated battlefield game, Gu Qijue had once again disappeared without a trace. Days passed, and the Infinite Empire's resource reserves grew larger and larger. After tricking a large number of Star Cluster Alliance interstellar citizens into working for him for free, Gu Qijue entered a state of earning vast wealth daily, with a continuous flow of financial resources. If resources are not used correctly, then no matter how many resources there are, they are no different from stones. The resources in Gu Qijue's hands were always used correctly. After accumulating resources to a certain extent, Gu Qijue and the Shadow Bone Dragon began to advance with the help of AI. Although the strength of C-rank cosmic level was already sufficient to move unimpeded in the star domain ruled by the Star Cluster Alliance. However, for the Star Cluster Alliance to explore externally, it would need at least A-rank powerhouses to hold the fort. According to the latest intelligence from the Infinite Empire, the Amethyst civilization had top-tier powerhouses. Their Southern Emperor was even a powerhouse among powerhouses. But for unknown reasons, Southern Emperor seemed unable to leave Amethyst Star City, or even the Southern Emperor Palace. Such a powerhouse, confined like a prisoner, was naturally of little use in interstellar exploration. As for the Silver Flame civilization, the situation was slightly better. No one knew what rank God of Brightness currently was, but God Yao, the leader of the Silver Flame civilization, was definitely an A-rank powerhouse, and God Yao was still preparing to advance from A rank to S rank. Among the three giants of the Silver Flame civilization, God Yao was obsessed with leveling up. Flame God was obsessed with staying out of sight, and there was very little external intelligence about him. God of Brightness, on the other hand, was obsessed with being the elder brother, often leading everyone in meetings at the Star Cluster Alliance headquarters. Many in the Star Cluster Alliance believed that the current stable state of the Star Cluster Alliance would last for a long time, but they were wrong. Once Gu Qijue broke through to a rank, he would definitely stir things up and lead everyone to write a new chapter. 427, a clone of resentment, you know how to save people, even with massive resources. And even with AI from the Stigma civilization helping, it would still be a protracted affair for Gu Qijue and the Shadow Bone Dragon to rise to A tier with the momentum of a tiger. Not only that, even though the Infinite Empire earned a fortune daily, its total resources were rapidly depleting. This made everyone in the Infinite Empire understand why the Amethyst civilization and Silver Flame civilization no longer had a large number of A-tier powerhouses. Cultivating A-tier powerhouses consumed a lot of resources and could not be done in a short time. Although the Star Cluster Alliance's dominion was vast, everyone was far from wealthy enough to casually cultivate A-tier powerhouses. For the Star Cluster Alliance to achieve greater development, connecting with the outside world was imperative. While Gu Qijue's true body was furiously absorbing energy stones to advance, his consciousness did not remain with his true body. The only thing his true body needed to do right now was to absorb the energy from the energy stones, then refine it to strengthen itself. Such a mechanical, repetitive process naturally didn't require his consciousness to stay there. He once again took out the Sacred Lion's secret scroll, but he didn't use it to enter the Ice Dragon clone. The Snow Mountain territory had already entered a snowballing state. He planned to look elsewhere. Gu Qijue's consciousness, through the Sacred Lion's secret scroll, arrived in a forest outside a majestic city. This time, his consciousness landed on a stone. Of course, he wasn't trying to create a stone golem clone this time. The Sacred Lion's secret scroll, as an item left by a super-universe civilization, was heaven-defying. A ball of white holy light enveloped a huge gray stone. Crack. Crack, the huge gray stone began to incredibly decompose and shatter. The original massive stone quickly turned into powder. Energy from all directions surged in frantically during this process. The powder formed from numerous stones quickly transformed into molecular and atomic states, then entered even smaller quark states beginning to recombine. These quarks formed new atoms, which then became various new molecules. A large number of molecules and atoms reformed into matter. This process sounds complex, but it actually happened in a flash. Before long, the white holy light disappeared. And then a handsome young man walked out from the white holy light. Gu Qijue checked the potential of this stone clone. After discovering that this stone clone only had F-tier potential, Gu Qijue didn't hesitate and directly enveloped this stone clone with holy light. The next moment, the stone clone completely vanished. This taught Gu Qijue a lesson. He couldn't use ordinary matter to create clones. Although the Sacred Lion's secret scroll was a black technology from a super-universe civilization, using ordinary matter to create clones would lead to the predicament of a clever housewife being unable to cook without rice. Gu Qijue's consciousness immediately wandered around this area. Before long, he discovered a mass grave in this place. Inside were numerous skeletons and many recently deceased bodies. Not far away, a massacre was underway. Everyone here was basically beheaded or had their hearts blown out before being thrown into this place. Gu Qijue searched the mass grave for a while, finding no powerhouses. But he did discover a group of people hiding at the bottom of the mass grave. These people had found a way to get here from who knows where. They were hiding in this incredibly terrifying place, seemingly to collect the bodies of their companions. Although Gu Qijue didn't find the remains of any powerhouses here to show those executioners what return of the dead meant, but he found another stone beneath the mass grave. Unlike the previous stone, this one gathered overwhelming resentment and blood qi. Endless resentment filled it, although it radiated sinister qi. It was clear at a glance that this was a treasure suitable for creating a clone. Gu Qijue didn't hesitate and immediately enveloped this stone with holy light, repeating the previous process. This time, it was indeed impressive. A sinister Gu Qijue emerged from the white holy light. The originally eerie and terrifying mass grave now seemed ordinary, because all the death qi had gathered on Gu Qijue's resentment clone. What made Gu Qijue even happier was that he had drawn a top-grade clone this time. He didn't even need to cultivate. This clone started at C-tier peak. As the people of Divine Jade City were still contemplating how to take away their companions' bodies, the sinister Gu Qijue appeared behind them. To avoid scaring these people unconscious, Gu Qijue kept a distance from them. Then, he asked, Sidu Jing and the others nearly screamed in fright upon hearing Gu Qijue's words. However, seeing that Gu Qijue was not a lizardman but an unknown race, they relaxed. As long as Gu Qijue wasn't from the Zhantian clan or their slave race, both sides could communicate. Even if Gu Qijue was a wanderer, what he sought was profit, not slaughter. Sidu Jing didn't answer Gu Qijue's question but instead asked. Gu Qijue pulled a repeat performance, using the same trick again. He repeated the Ice Dragon clone's story to Sidu Jing: battle, coma, amnesia, the three-part saga. Sidu Jing listened, half believing, half doubting. She was silent for a moment, then asked. Gu Qijue said, "If possible, I'd like to act with you all. Or you can take me to a safe place and let me act on my own. If that's really not possible, just tell me about the surrounding area, and I can leave here by myself." After Gu Qijue finished speaking, Sidu Jing said without hesitation. Gu Qijue had only mentioned 3 plans. The so-called Plan 4 either didn't exist at all, or it was proposed by Sidu Jing. Sidu Jing didn't beat around the bush and said directly, "If you can help us save someone, we can completely trust you and take you to our place." Gu Qijue asked indifferently. Sidu Jing said, "These lizardmen are the slave race of the Zhantian clan. Truly detestable. Soon they will blow out Great Master Lin's heart and throw him into the mass grave. But Great Master Lin's potions are very powerful and can make heart and body damage recover extremely quickly, so he won't truly die when he's thrown into the mass grave." Gu Qijue nodded. Since he knew these lizard men were the slave race of the Zhantian clan, wouldn't killing all of them save everyone else? 428, controlling the necromancers, the alchemist is saved. Gu Qijue's subsequent performance far exceeded Sidu Jing and the others' expectations. Master Lin Yi, whom they were trying to rescue, had a heart recovery potion on him. This was a very top-tier alchemy potion, whose effect was to form an energy heart the moment the heart shattered, replacing the original function of the heart. Subsequently, this potion would cause cells to rapidly grow and develop, forming a new heart. Therefore, Master Lin Yi could feign death to escape this time and be rescued by Sidu Jing and the others. Gu Qijue suddenly charging out undoubtedly completely disrupted Sidu Jing and the others' plans. None of them expected Gu Qijue to be so impulsive. One must know that there were 5,000 lizardmen warriors at this execution ground. No matter how strong Gu Qijue was, it was impossible for one person to fight 5,000. Around Sidu Jing, the gazes of the other few people all fell on Sidu Jing, waiting for her to make a decision. Facing such a sudden situation, Sidu Jing naturally had no good solution either. Watching Gu Qijue's figure charging out, she could only say to everyone, "Since things have come to this, let's wait and see. If there's truly no way to rescue Master Lin Yi, we can only retreat." The others all felt a bit regretful upon hearing this. Divine Jade City is a special concept. The current Divine Jade City is no longer a real city, but is in a state of breaking down into parts. The people of Divine Jade City are dispersed into various gathering points to avoid being too large a target and being noticed by the Zhantian clan. At the same time, the City Lord's mansion uniformly commands all gathering points to conduct medium to large-scale battles. The gathering point they were in had over 100 people. Master Lin Yi was the captain of the gathering point, and Sidu Jing was the vice-captain. Master Lin Yi had great prestige and was very popular at the gathering point. If possible, everyone wanted to rescue him. On the other side, Gu Qijue had already appeared on the outskirts of the execution ground. As soon as he appeared, he was discovered by the lizardmen warriors at the execution ground. The form of the lizardmen was generally humanoid, but their head outlines were rather peculiar, and their eyes were vertical pupils that made people feel very uncomfortable. Behind the lizardmen, without exception, was a long tail, which could be used as a weapon. As soon as Gu Qijue appeared in this place, a large number of arrows immediately came swiftly towards this area. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Streaks of energy arrows drew an arc in midair, then appeared in front of Gu Qijue. Gu Qijue's resentment clone surged with undead energy, forming a translucent, light black energy shield. After Gu Qijue put up the energy shield, he walked forward leisurely, unfazed by the overwhelming arrows. Seeing such a scene, the lizardmen's commander began to frantically issue orders. 1,000 arrows, 1,000 arrows, shoot him into a hedgehog. No one is allowed to hold back, as his commands were continuously passed down. The many lizardmen drawing bows and shooting arrows indeed became even more vigorous. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Suddenly, arrows rained down. Overwhelming arrows completely enveloped Gu Qijue's resentment clone. However, it didn't have much effect. These countless energy arrows caused very limited damage to the energy shield Gu Qijue had condensed with undead energy. In a short while, Gu Qijue appeared in front of these lizardmen. Swish! He casually raised his hand and waved, and a dark purple undead energy, like a horizontal giant sharp blade, pushed out flatly. Ftift, ftift. All the lizardmen warriors who collided with the dark purple energy were instantly cut in half at the waist as easily as a hot knife through butter. In just one encounter, over a dozen lizardmen warriors all fell, severed into two. This was not the end. Soon, wisps of dark purple energy condensed on their incomplete bodies. The next moment, the lizardmen warriors who had just died turned into undead, and they were undead completely controlled by Gu Qijue. The lizardmen who were previously besieging Gu Qijue, after turning into undead, all turned their spears and began to attack other lizardmen. After turning into dark purple translucent spiritual bodies, the strength of these lizardmen declined considerably. However, they could fuse with each other to form stronger spiritual bodies. Gu Qijue killed on the battlefield while controlling these dark purple spiritual bodies to fuse. Seeing this scene, the many lizardmen warriors could only fall into collapse and despair. Their number of warriors was dwindling. However, the number of undead warriors around Gu Qijue was increasing. Even if that were the case, Gu Qijue's strength was unfathomable, and on this battlefield, he was simply an invincible existence. Up until now, many lizardmen warriors had launched attacks against Gu Qijue in various ways, but none had any effect. From the beginning of the battle until now, Gu Qijue hadn't even lost a single strand of hair. Gu Qijue initially slaughtered in all directions. Later, he no longer actively engaged in combat but was secretly observing. He observed while pondering in his heart. The strength of these lizardmen is much weaker than the Zhantian clan. At the same rank, they are also at a medium-low level. Although there are no C-rank lizardmen powerhouses here, even if there were, they wouldn't be a match for me in a single move. However, this resentment clone is very interesting. In fact, it can be said that the clones condensed by the Sacred Lion Secret Scroll are all very interesting. These clones from different systems have different specialties. After thoroughly understanding and mastering these specialties, the true body, after specialized cultivation and advancement, can also use the same abilities and with even greater power. While Gu Qijue stood with his hands behind his back, watching the undead warriors continuously hunt down the lizardmen, Sidu Jing and her group, on the other hand, began to rescue their companion with great joy. They hadn't seen Gu Qijue's initial battle, but they already knew that Gu Qijue possessed the ability to control undead. This was a very enviable ability, enemies who were just moments ago furious and fighting for their lives against you. The next moment after dying in battle, they would become your subordinates, serving you. Moreover, the more enemies died, the more combat units on your side increased, resulting in a twofold difference. Regardless of Gu Qijue's individual combat ability, just by virtue of his ability to control undead warriors, he was an honored guest of Divine Jade City. Sidu Jing quickly arrived beside Master Lin Yi. Master Lin Yi had been tortured by the lizardmen to within an inch of his life. His white beard and hair disheveled like withered grass. His limbs and neck were nailed to a cross. After Sidu Jing approached, she quickly lowered Master Lin Yi, then took out a bottle of green healing potion and treated Master Lin Yi. This bottle of green healing potion, poured out from the crystal bottle, turned into a layer of light, floating mist. These mists completely enveloped Master Lin Yi. And before long, Master Lin Yi slowly woke up. End of chapter 429, Evil Moon Battle Axe. Surrounded on all sides and in a desperate battle, Master Lin Yi's mental energy swept across the entire battlefield. Then his attention locked onto Gu Qijue. He knew he had been saved. Saved in an unbelievable way. The reason for this was entirely because of Gu Qijue, who possessed the ability to control the undead. However, Lin Yi didn't ask any questions, but instead said anxiously, "We must leave here quickly. Everyone move to the underground palace." Sidu Jing asked doubtfully, "Master Lin Yi, what happened?" Lin Yi nodded and said, "Our gathering point, along with more than 10 gathering points nearby, have been discovered by the lizard men. A large number of lizard men are quickly mobilizing, preparing to completely wipe us out." Sidu Jing's expression immediately became very ugly. She immediately stopped hesitating and went to inform everyone. A burly man then carried Master Lin Yi, who was still recovering, on his back. After Sidu Jing informed the others, she quickly came up to Gu Qijue and said, "A large number of lizard men warriors are rushing here. Hurry and evacuate with us. Don't worry about the remaining lizard men." Although Gu Qijue felt that he didn't need to follow Sidu Jing and the others and constantly hide, it was still very necessary for him to ask Sidu Jing's group for information. So, after Sidu Jing spoke, he nodded. Next, Gu Qijue followed Sidu Jing and the others, leaving the area together. On the way out, Gu Qijue began asking Sidu Jing about the situation. "Can you tell me about the situation here now?" Sidu Jing nodded without hesitation. "The faction we belong to is called Divine Jade City. In the beginning, Divine Jade City was an extremely powerful city. Not only did we dare to actively suppress the Wanderers, but we also frequently engaged in frontal combat with the Zhantian clan." As Sidu Jing spoke of these glorious years, a look of pride couldn't help but appear on her delicate and beautiful oval face. Gu Qijue did not interrupt, waiting for the little beauty to continue speaking. He currently only understood the situation near the Snow Mountain territory, and his knowledge of other regions in the Zhantian universe was very limited. Sidu Jing quickly continued. During Divine Jade City's peak, it possessed 2 million warriors of the 10,000 races. However, under the attack of the Zhantian clan, the city was finally destroyed and its people perished. Therefore, the city lord began to break into scattered groups with the remaining people. A few people, or dozens to hundreds of people, formed small teams to try and survive. Once we stabilize slightly, we can find a way to contact the city lord's mansion. The city lord's mansion provides us with teleportation arrays and some other supplies. In the beginning, there were only about a few hundred scattered gathering points, but now we have 10,000. These gathering points can conduct free trade through the teleportation arrays. In addition, the city lord's mansion organizes us to carry out intermediate and large-scale battles. After Sidu Jing finished speaking, Gu Qijue instantly understood. This was the strategy of a single spark can start a prairie fire. Moreover, this strategy was extremely effective, allowing Divine Jade City, which was about to be completely wiped out, to stand up again. Now Divine Jade City has 10,000 gathering points. Even if each gathering point only averages 100 people, Divine Jade City now has 1 million warriors. These gathering points operate strictly around the city lord's mansion. Any intermediate or large-scale battle and above is personally commanded and scheduled by the city lord's mansion, which also maintains extremely high control over all parties. As long as the timing is right, Divine Jade City's city lord can rebuild Divine Jade City simply by finding a suitable location. When facing the Zhantian clan and their hounds, the city lord of Divine Jade City had undoubtedly found their own way of survival for Divine Jade City. For a moment, Gu Qijue couldn't help but become curious about this city lord of Divine Jade City. However, the path of retreat for the group was destined not to be smooth sailing. They hadn't been retreating for long when several scouts responsible for gathering intelligence brought back news that made everyone's expressions grow heavier. "Master Lin Yi, Vice Captain Sidu Jing, we seem to be surrounded. Not only us, but also the warriors of the 10,000 races from over 10 other gathering points have been surrounded. A large number of lizard men, Viper clan, and giant insect clan warriors have appeared around us. These pawns of the Zhantian clan want to completely eliminate us." Although Master Lin Yi was physically injured, his mind was unharmed. He said very calmly, "Retreat to the underground palace. The underground palace is our last hope. As long as we enter the underground palace, utilizing its complex environment and its characteristic of having roots in all directions. We can properly maneuver and negotiate with these scoundrels inside the underground palace. Master Lin Yi's words were certainly correct. But there was a problem, because at this moment a scout reported, Master Lin Yi, there are 3,000 lizard men following us from the rear. Their speed is very fast. They will definitely catch up to us within 20 minutes. This was news that brought despair to everyone, although they had over 1,000 people here, except for Sidu Jing and a few dozen others. Everyone else was severely injured. At this time, someone capable must stay behind to cover the retreat, otherwise no one else would be able to escape. Gu Qijue didn't make things difficult for everyone and said casually, "You all continue to evacuate. I will stay behind to cover the retreat." Master Lin Yi didn't speak, but instead solemnly took out a box from his storage treasure artifact and handed it to Gu Qijue. Gu Qijue felt the undead energy within the box and his heart stirred. However, after opening the box, he felt a bit helpless. This was an extremely high-tier weapon, with a grade as high as C rank and specifically intermediate C rank or even advanced C rank. Unfortunately, this item was damaged. Master Lin Yi said helplessly, "This is the Evil Moon Battle Axe. It should be of some help to you. You possess the ability to control the undead, and now only you can save everyone. However, you don't need to fight to the death. You only need to hold them off for a while or evacuate when you sense danger. I estimate that the 3,000 lizard men pursuing us are just a small detachment. Further behind, there must be a large number of lizard men, and perhaps even members of the Zhantian clan approaching. You absolutely must not linger in battle. After 20 minutes at most, you must find a way to escape the battlefield. After you leave the battlefield, this gerfalcon will tell you where to find us." The gerfalcon Master Lin Yi spoke of was a wooden carving, but this was clearly a treasure artifact. After injecting energy, the wooden carving could transform into a guiding gerfalcon. Gu Qijue nodded and said, "I understand." He actually didn't understand Master Lin Yi's meaning. Master Lin Yi telling him not to linger in battle meant fighting the lizard men for a bit and then quickly running. Gu Qijue's idea, however, was to achieve a quick victory, wipe out all the lizard men, and end the battle as soon as possible. That way, it wouldn't count as lingering in battle. 430, immune to deadly poisons, fusion with a high-ranking undead. Gu Qijue didn't pay much attention to the 3,000 lizardmen pursuers. He was more worried about the larger number of pursuers behind them. However, it didn't matter if his resentment clone was killed in battle, as the Sacred Lion's secret scroll had already saved the resentment clone as a template. As long as there were enough materials, it could be revived in minutes. It was clear that this technology of the Sacred Lion civilization was incredibly overbearing. With this technology, even if the Sacred Lion civilization encountered many civilizations and couldn't defeat them, they could still wear down their enemies to death. Gu Qijue ordered the spiritual entities under his command to block the pursuers from behind, while he himself transformed into a puff of black smoke and explored further away. If there were only lizard men, viper tribe, and giant worm tribe, it wouldn't be a big problem. Among these races, he had already determined that the lizard men were weaklings. Even if the viper tribe and giant worm tribe were slightly more formidable, they wouldn't be much stronger and couldn't reach the level of the Zhantian clan. What Gu Qijue truly feared was the Zhantian clan coming after him. This place was not like the Snow Mountain territory. If the Zhantian clan pursued him here, it would definitely be extremely troublesome. However, after he transformed into a wisp of black smoke and drifted around, he let out a sigh of relief. This time, there was no Zhantian clan among those who launched the four-sided encirclement against the Divine Jade City group. Without the Zhantian clan, things would be much easier to handle. Gu Qijue scouted the surroundings and then appeared on the battlefield where the spiritual entity warriors and lizardmen were fighting. While he was out scouting, these spiritual entity warriors had already engaged in battle with the lizardmen. The number of these spiritual entity warriors was only 500, but their combat power was extremely formidable. This was because each spiritual entity warrior was a fusion of more than 10 ordinary spiritual entity warriors. Although there were only 500 of them, they easily held back the 3,000 lizardmen. Not only that, the lizardmen killed by the spiritual entity warriors would quickly transform into new spiritual entity warriors. Gu Qijue looked around and completely confirmed that this battlefield currently didn't require him to do anything. The 3,000 lizardmen warriors were no match for the spiritual entity warriors under his command. He immediately didn't waste any time and began to control the spiritual entity soldiers to fight. under Gu Qijue's control. Several spiritual entity soldiers nearby gathered in one place. After they gathered, they began to undergo fusion. The undead energy in the spiritual entity soldiers was converted from their life energy. During the conversion process, there was energy loss, so undead soldiers were generally not as powerful as they were in life. However, these undead soldiers had an advantage. They could undergo fusion with each other. After undead soldiers undergo fusion with other undead, their strength rapidly increases. The more undead they fuse with, the stronger they become. At this moment, a large number of low-tier undead soldiers from all directions were gathering towards one direction. The reason for this scene was, of course, that Gu Qijue wanted to fuse a high-tier undead soldier. Among the numerous undead, a burly figure holding an undead warblade had already appeared. During the undead fusion process, Gu Qijue could exert some influence on the final fused undead, but he couldn't completely decide what it would ultimately fuse into. Because there was an element of randomness. A high-tier undead fused from a large number of low-tier undead could be extremely powerful and overbearing, or it could be a complete trash. After Gu Qijue fused approximately 500 undead, he finally obtained a D-tier undead warrior. This D-tier undead warrior resembled an aurora. It had a pair of backward-curving horns on its head, some bone blades on its body, and was covered in scales. However, after undead fusion, it remained in a blue translucent undead state. So its horns, bone blades, and the scales covering its body were all blue and translucent. After fusing this aurora necromancer, Gu Qijue immediately ordered it, "Kill all these lizard men." Upon hearing this, the aurora necromancer's eyes flashed with blood-red light. Then it wielded its undead warblade and began to battle the lizard men from all directions. Swish, 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 swish. The aurora necromancer charged into the lizard men battle formation, continuously hacking and slashing wildly with its undead warblade. Ftift! Streams of hot blood continuously spurted from the lizard men's wounds, as if a rain of blood had fallen on the battlefield. This D-tier aurora necromancer was extremely warlike and grew stronger with each battle. Shortly after the lizardmen warriors it had slain died, an undead would rise from their remains. Under such circumstances, the 3,000 lizardmen pursuers were swept away by the undead legion, like a strong wind scattering fallen leaves, easily annihilated. Seeing this scene, Gu Qijue mused in his heart. This resentment clone is much more interesting than the ice dragon clone. The ice dragon clone is essentially a weakened version of the main body, and it doesn't possess many of the main body's powerful abilities. The resentment clone is different. The fighting style of the resentment clone and the main body are completely different. The main body needs to be hands-on, while the resentment clone hardly needs to act personally. It only needs to give orders to the surrounding undead warriors and cultivate powerful undead warriors. While pondering, Gu Qijue also checked the situation of the undead legion on the battlefield. The undead legion suffered virtually no damage in the previous battle. This was, of course, not because the undead legion was incredibly strong, but because the undead legion countered the lizardmen army. The lizardmen army's attacks were various potent poisons, and their poisons affected most creatures. However, when facing the undead, their proud method of attack undoubtedly completely lost its effectiveness. The undead legion was completely unaffected by their various poisons. Generally, poisons could not eliminate the undead. After checking for a moment, Gu Qijue understood the current situation of the undead legion. There were no C-tier undead. There was one D-tier undead, which was the aurora necromancer he had just synthesized. There were over 100 E-tier undead, and the number of F-tier undead was around 2,000. However, statistically, F-tier undead and E-tier undead didn't hold much significance. These two types of undead were essentially materials used to synthesize D-tier undead and C-tier undead. During undead fusion, generally, 100 E-tier peak undead could be fused into one D-tier undead. E-tier peak undead are generally obtained by fusing a large number of ordinary E-tier undead. If Gu Qijue wanted to obtain more high-tier undead, he needed to hunt more enemies and acquire more materials. After discovering the marvelous use of the resentment clone, Gu Qijue couldn't help but feel a bit regretful. If he had these two tricks during the Great War between the Star Cluster Alliance and the Klein people, he would already be a seasoned collector of high-tier undead. Gu Qijue naturally didn't dwell on past events. He began to lead his undead legion to continue intercepting other pursuers. The Lizardmen army, the Viper army, and the Giant Worm army were all pawns of the Zhantian clan, so there was no need to be polite to them. End of chapter 431. Forge the evil moon spear to face the stone golems. While Gu Qijue had the undead legion continue forward, he used the infinite engine to scan the evil moon battle axe. The weapon gave him a very good intuitive feeling. He thought it was a good item, very compatible with his resentment clone. The only two flaws were that it was a long-handled battle axe, not a battle spear. Furthermore, it was broken. Scanning and analyzing. Please wait, scanning and analysis complete. Name, Evil Moon Battle Axe, Tier, C-Tier Masterpiece Advanced. Status, damaged, repairable, detailed information. There was a lot of detailed information about the Evil Moon Battle Axe, which Gu Qijue examined as he continued to move forward. After reading it all, he was thoroughly convinced that he hadn't misjudged. This was indeed a very remarkable treasure artifact. In the Zhantian universe, there was once a race called the Death Clan. The Death Clan possessed most of the abilities and characteristics of the undead, but they were living beings, not undead. The Death Clan was very skilled at crafting treasure artifacts, especially those suitable for themselves and for the undead. This Evil Moon Battle Axe was one of the treasure artifacts crafted by the Death Clan. After discovering that the Evil Moon Battle Axe could be repaired, Gu Qijue immediately had the idea to repair it. His main body was undergoing monotonous, mechanized cultivation in the Infinite Empire's head of state cultivation area. For the next period, if he didn't control his Ice Dragon clone to cause trouble, he would control his Resentment clone to seek development. The Ice Dragon clone had bad luck. Its surroundings were barren lands, making it difficult to accomplish much. Although the Resentment clone was surrounded due to the special nature of its abilities, the Resentment clone could actually accomplish a lot in such an encircled environment. Gu Qijue immediately issued a command to the Infinite Engine. Recast the Evil Moon Battle Axe into an Evil Moon Battle Spear suitable for the Resentment clone. The Infinite Engine received the command and immediately began working. However, this was destined to be a long process, because the treasure artifacts of the Zhantian universe were not entirely the same as the magic treasures of the Sacred Mark universe. The Infinite Engine needed to thoroughly analyze the Evil Moon Battle Axe and simulate it multiple times to find the optimal manufacturing plan. Then, it would forge the Evil Moon Battle Spear with the optimal materials ratio and the optimal forging method. Gu Qijue was not in a hurry to use the Evil Moon Battle Spear at the moment, so he let the Infinite Engine forge it slowly. Gu Qijue hadn't gone far with the Undead Legion when they encountered an unexpected enemy. According to the intelligence he had gathered earlier, this area only had the Zhantian clan's 3 slave races, the lizard men, the viper race, and the giant worm race. However, what he encountered now was the stone race. The stone race should also be one of the Zhantian clan's slave races, for 3 reasons. Firstly, there were several Zhantian clan members among the stone race. Secondly, there were over 1,000 lizard men in the stone race army. Thirdly, the Stone Race army had captured many captives from various races. These 3 reasons were sufficient to conclude that these Stone Race members were enemies. When the Stone Race army saw Gu Qijue, they were very decisive and immediately launched a charge. Excluding the Zhantian clan and their slave races, all other myriad races were enemies of the Stone Race. Gu Qijue also didn't waste any time. He casually ordered, "Kill!" With a single command, the Undead Legion met them head-on, charging towards the Stone Race. It couldn't be said that the Stone Race countered the Undead Legion, but there was little point in the Undead Legion entangling with the Stone Race, because the Stone Race only had a stone core, not a soul. After a Stone Race member's body was shattered, only its core remained intact. If its core was randomly embedded into a boulder, that boulder would soften and transform into a new Stone Race member. If the Stone Race's core was destroyed, the Stone Race member would completely vanish, not transforming into a spirit body warrior. Therefore, the Stone Race was the enemy Gu Qijue least wanted to encounter, not because they were strong, but because killing them served little purpose. At this moment, when the Undead Legion and the Stone Race army clashed, the priority was to kill the lizard men. Many attractive people saw the undead warriors madly rushing towards them, feeling nothing but helplessness. However, they didn't need to be so helpless, because the Zhantian clan was also Gu Qijue's target. But the Zhantian clan's strength was too great, so Gu Qijue didn't send the Undead Legion to their deaths. Instead, he chose to act personally. Swish! Gu Qijue's resentment clone transformed into a wisp of black smoke and appeared above the battlefield. Within the Stone Race army, 5 Zhantian clan members also soared into the sky, surrounding Gu Qijue. Among the five, the leading Zhantian clan member asked with doubt, "What race are you?" Gu Qijue originally didn't want to waste words with the Zhantian clan, but he couldn't resist making a joke. "I am from the Phantom Eye race, the Phantom Eye race," which established the Phantom Eye civilization. The Zhantian clan showed deep confusion upon hearing this name. It was clear that even universe-level civilizations as powerful as the Phantom Eye civilization did not possess the ability to escape their native universe. The Crystal Clan civilization, which could basically leave its native universe, and the Stigma civilization, which successfully left its native universe, as well as the Sacred Lion civilization, which could freely traverse universes, must all be incredibly powerful. The Klein people were no match for the Phantom Eye civilization. Perhaps the Phantom Eye civilization was also no match for these civilizations. He and his infinite empire were already one of the three giants in the Star Cluster Alliance, but such achievements absolutely should not lead to complacency. The Infinite Empire must gather resources, develop technology, and find ways to quickly snowball into a universe-level civilization. That was the right path. Although the Zhantian clan had not heard of the Phantom Eye race mentioned by Gu Qijue, it didn't stop them from preparing to strike boldly, capture Gu Qijue, and then consider other matters. Swish! Although there were 5 Zhantian clan members, only one made a move. The combat power of the Zhantian clan was 2, or even 3, different concepts compared to other cannon fodder. Gu Qijue saw the Zhantian clan member in front of him disappear, but he couldn't track their movement. On one hand, the Zhantian clan's strength was too great, and their movement speed was too fast. On the other hand, the resentment clone was probably a mage, and its individual combat strength was not particularly outstanding. Bang! When the Zhantian clan expert reappeared, they were already at Gu Qijue's back. The opponent was incredibly domineering, and a fierce punch directly shattered the resentment clone's body. But it didn't matter. The resentment clone wasn't afraid of this at all. Buzz! The black smoke in the sky gathered again, and the resentment clone, which had just been shattered by the Zhantian clan expert's punch, reappeared completely unharmed. Of course, this had little impact on the Zhantian clan. The Zhantian clan's philosophy was, if an enemy can't be killed with one punch, then hit them twice. Swish! The Zhantian clan expert disappeared again, and Gu Qijue's resentment clone still couldn't track their movement. But it didn't matter. The resentment clone had already materialized its body into mist and released a powerful devouring force. End of chapter 432. The Evil Moon Spear has been born, a mysterious and wondrous artifact. Suddenly, Gu Qijue's resentment clone erupted with waves of bizarre yet powerful devouring force. The Zhantian clan expert immediately realized something was wrong and tried to abandon the attack on Gu Qijue. But it was too late. Powerful devouring forces completely enveloped him. The Zhantian clan expert could only watch in terror as he rapidly approached a constantly spinning vortex of devouring energy. "Kill him!" the other Zhantian clan experts roared. They had realized the situation was dire and wanted to kill Gu Qijue's resentment clone to rescue their comrade. Before the other 4 Zhantian clan members could rush over, the Zhantian clan expert who first attacked Gu Qijue was completely sucked into the devouring vortex. Gu Qijue's figure reappeared at this moment. He realized that this resentment clone indeed had more potential than the Ice Dragon clone. The resentment clone possessed an ultimate skill that allowed it to unreasonably devour a living creature and refine it into a death spirit, unless the target could escape before being completely devoured. Once swallowed, death was almost certain. The remaining 4 Zhantian clan members, seeing Gu Qijue devour their comrade, were enraged. "Kill him, grind him into meat paste." A Zhantian clan warrior roared furiously before abruptly unleashing a punch. Boom! This single punch shook the sky. A golden fist shadow instantly pierced Gu Qijue's heart, however. Amidst the swirling black mist, Gu Qijue recovered instantly. The resentment clone could switch between tangible and intangible states at will when he entered an illusory state like smoke and mist. Many attacks inflicted very limited damage on him. If Gu Qijue's main body encountered an enemy like the resentment clone, he could use the flames of burning heaven and boiling seas to continuously scorch the resentment clone. The resentment clone could maximize its immunity to attacks, but it could not achieve complete immunity. Moreover, in the illusory state, it was difficult to launch effective attacks, allowing only passive defense. However, these 4 Zhantian clan fools had no understanding of the resentment clone, nor did they possess the ability of burning heaven and boiling seas, forcing them into close-quarters combat with Gu Qijue's resentment clone. Bang, bang, bang. As the 4 Zhantian clan members appeared around Gu Qijue, He felt an overwhelming storm of flying fist shadows and continuous leg strikes. These four Zhantian clan members were like tireless fighting machines, relentlessly launching unprecedented fierce attacks. If the Ice Dragon clone encountered these four guys and couldn't defeat them individually in a short time, it would have no choice but to run. Staying to fight would only result in a pointless beating. The resentment clone was different. No matter how many punches the Zhantian clan threw, it was like hitting smoke. Facing this situation, Gu Qijue did not rashly launch an attack. Instead, he transformed into a wisp of black smoke and moved sideways toward the other side of the battlefield. When he wasn't attacking these four Zhantian clan fools, they couldn't hit him. If he dared to strike, the opponents could also attack his main body. Ultimately, the resentment clone was a mage, while the Zhantian clan were perfect warriors with integrated offense and defense, boasting double A ratings in strength and speed. If Gu Qijue engaged them in close-quarters combat, the difficulty would be no less than Lin Dayu fighting Fang Xiyu. However, Gu Qijue was not completely incapable of close combat. Once his weapon was forged, he could properly deal with these four fools, and the efficiency of the infinite engine was always very high. Before the Zhantian clan members could pursue him, his Evil Moon Battle Spear was finished. The Evil Moon Battle Spear had three abilities: Evil Moon Shield, Evil Moon Chains, and Evil Moon Descent. The Evil Moon Shield created a protective barrier around him that could absorb massive amounts of damage. Any form of damage would be absorbed by the Evil Moon Shield until the damage reached its maximum threshold. Theoretically, even if he were hit by the main cannon of a B-class battleship, he wouldn't be instantly killed. The Evil Moon Chains allowed him to manipulate numerous smoky, pitch-black chains to attack powerful enemies in various forms. These chains were ever-changing, bizarre, unpredictable, and extremely durable. Evil Moon Descent created an Evil Moon domain, and the Evil Moon would then devour the souls of all living creatures within that domain. As the Zhantian clan rushed forward again, wisps of smoke condensed in Gu Qijue's hand. In an instant, those wisps of smoke transformed into an Evil Moon Battle Spear. Buzz, a translucent, crescent-shaped, deep purple shield appeared around Gu Qijue. The Zhantian clan rushed over, their fists raining down like divine beings beating drums, but all their attacks were blocked by the crescent-shaped shield. Swish! Gu Qijue violently thrust the Evil Moon Battle Spear in his hand, and a powerful sense of crisis instantly filled every cell of one Zhantian clan warrior. Pachai! The physique the Zhantian clan prided themselves on could not ignore the sharpness of the Evil Moon Battle Spear. The Zhantian clan expert only felt a flash of black mist before his body was pierced by the Evil Moon Battle Spear. His vitality, his energy, his spirit, everything he was instantly and greedily devoured completely by the Evil Moon Battle Spear. 5 C-class Zhantian clan warriors had lost 2 men in an extremely short period. This was an incredible development for the Zhantian clan, especially since they were fighting with superior numbers, 5 against 1. Clang-a-lang, the remaining 3 Zhantian clan warriors had no time to think. Sounds of chains clashing echoed all around them, yet none of them could see where the chains actually were. It wasn't until one Zhantian clan member screamed that they realized in horror that this comrade had been pierced through his limbs and the back of his head by chains. The tips of these chains had a structure similar to a dart, making them extremely sharp. Run! The remaining 2 Zhantian clan warriors dared not stay any longer. Without the slightest hesitation, the 2 fled. One to the left and one to the right. Gu Qijue's resentment clone wasn't considered overwhelmingly powerful on its own. However, the Evil Moon Battle Spear in his hand was extremely compatible with him. This compatibility meant that with the Evil Moon Battle Spear, Gu Qijue's resentment clone's combat power soared, utterly routing the Zhantian clan. Clang-a-lang, sounds of clashing chains surfaced beside the ears of the 2 Zhantian clan warriors. They heard the chains rattling, but they still couldn't locate the bizarre and deadly chains. It wasn't until a sharp pain shot through his heart that one of them finally discovered the chains. This Zhantian clan member was extremely vicious. After having his heart pierced by the chain, he actually managed to sever the chain that had penetrated his body with a single palm strike. But it didn't matter. The severed chain turned into wisps of black smoke and returned to the original chain. Gu Qijue's resentment clone was already extremely troublesome, but holding the Evil Moon Battle Spear was truly like adding wings to a tiger, making him even more difficult and bizarre to deal with. The death of this Zhantian clan member bought time for the other one. Swish! But it didn't make much difference. The next moment, The evil moon battle spear in Gu Qijue's hand transformed into a black flood dragon and instantly lunged to devour the opponent. End of chapter 433. The Underground World, Relics of the Undead Craftsman. No one on this battlefield would have expected it. The battle between Gu Qijue and the 5 Zhantian clan powerhouses would actually be the first to conclude. After the evil moon battle spear devoured a Zhantian clan powerhouse, it once again turned into wisps of black mist and appeared in Gu Qijue's hand. Gu Qijue was extremely satisfied with this treasure artifact. He planned to spend a huge sum to maximize the extreme strengthening and advancement of the evil moon battle spear, allowing the evil moon battle spear to continuously grow alongside the resentment clone. The resentment clone has 3 functions. First, allowing the resentment clone to gather resources in the Zhantian universe. Second, allowing the resentment clone to return to the sacred Mark universe to assist in battle. Third, allowing the resentment clone to merge with the main body, so the main body can directly possess the abilities of the resentment clone, with the sacred lion's secret scroll in hand, while his main body mechanically absorbed energy stones and advanced crazily. His abilities in other aspects could also increase. Gu Qijue didn't consider other long-term matters right now, focusing on the evil moon shield and the evil moon chains. He tested the evil moon battle spear's final ability, evil moon descent. Buzz. Suddenly, the sky darkened. The world, which had just been daytime, instantly turned into night. Under the terrified gazes of many stone race members and some lizard men, the evil moon battle spear in Gu Qijue's hand transformed into a blood moon appearing in the sky. Within the blood moon's radius, the cores of the stone race began to dim slightly, and their movements became unprecedentedly sluggish. As for the lizard men, they shook like sieves. Their souls were being extracted by the blood moon, one after another. Lifeless lizard men began to continuously fall down. Before long, the stone people in this area completely turned into scattered stones. The numerous lizard men all turned into lifeless corpses. This strong? Gu Qijue glanced at the blood moon in the sky with a slight surprise. He secretly summarized that treasure artifacts produced by the Death Clan were indeed a perfect match for necromancy-type powerhouses. It seems that besides War Heaven Stone, there are many highly valuable things in the Zhantian universe. For example, treasure artifacts forged by the Death Clan or even the Death Clan itself. After killing all the enemies, Gu Qijue had the Infinite Engine begin strengthening and advancing the Evil Moon Battle Spear. Help me strengthen and advance the Evil Moon Battle Spear, regardless of cost. Achieve the current maximum. The Infinite Engine received the instruction and immediately went to work. The Evil Moon Battle Spear in Gu Qijue's hand disappeared, and the Infinite Engine went all out to perform the ultimate upgrade and strengthening of the Evil Moon Battle Spear. While the Infinite Engine was busy, Gu Qijue wasn't idle. He looked at the many necromancers below and ordered, "All of you merge into the Asura necromancer's body." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. As Gu Qijue's voice fell, the many necromancers turned into streaks of black smoke and merged with the Asura necromancer. The Asura necromancer's strength rapidly surged, visible to the naked eye. By the time only Gu Qijue and the Asura necromancer remained in the field, the Asura necromancer's rank had already been elevated to C-rank cosmic level peak. The reason for making this decision was that, in a short time, he couldn't prioritize both quantity and quality. Since that was the case, he could only focus on quality first. If he focused on quantity first, severe casualties would occur if they couldn't defeat the enemy. By focusing on quality first, if they encountered an unbeatable strong enemy, they could just run away. After completing all this, Gu Qijue took out the Heidonking puppet. After injecting energy, the Heidonking turned into a streak of azure light wrapping around him. Gu Qijue waved his hand, putting away the Asura necromancer. The next moment, the azure light immediately carried him away at an unbelievably extreme speed. Gu Qijue immediately understood that this was a very situational, life-saving treasure artifact. The speed of this thing's escape was extremely fast, unbelievably and incomprehensibly fast, but ordinary beings cannot withstand this speed and would be torn to shreds during the escape. The final result would only be a successful escape, but a successful escape in a state of being torn apart. Gu Qijue, using this treasure artifact, was unaffected because he was a mass of black mist the whole time. When the Heidonking brought him to an underground palace, and many figures looked over vigilantly, Gu Qijue's figure transitioned from a black smoke state to a normal state. Then he saw that this was an extremely vast underground world. It seemed that a glorious and brilliant underground civilization had once existed here, developing and building for countless ages. Inside the underground palace, there were not just a few hundred people, but hundreds of thousands of beings residing here. However, most were just ordinary myriad race beings with little combat capability. There were only about 10,000 true warriors. Not long after Gu Qijue appeared here, an owl flapped its wings and flew over from a distance. After landing, the owl transformed into Master Linyi. Master Linyi saw Gu Qijue, bowed deeply to him, and said, "Your Excellency, although we do not know how you managed it, but thanks to you for holding back the pursuers, we had the chance to activate the underground palace and escape into it. The underground palace exists within a special space, making it difficult for the Zhantian clan to discover. Even if the underground palace is discovered by the Zhantian clan, it possesses very strong defensive capabilities. Even if the underground palace is breached, its intricate, interconnected structure allows us to find ways to negotiate with the Zhantian clan or to escape. In a word, this is our shelter. This place is relatively safe. On behalf of Divine Jade City, I formally welcome Your Excellency to join us. So, what are Your Excellency's name, race, and basic information?" Gu Qijue was a being who appeared out of thin air, including Master Linyi. Their understanding of Gu Qijue was very limited. He only knew that Gu Qijue had the ability to freely dematerialize, as well as the ability to control necromancers, very similar to the Death Clan. But not quite the Death Clan. Gu Qijue thought for a moment and said, "My name is Gu Qijue. As for my race, I am likely an aberrant Death Clan member, but due to memory loss, I can't recall clearly. My strength is C-rank cosmic level peak, and my ability is controlling necromancers." Master Linyi was stunned for a moment, then nodded and said, "Lord Gu Qijue, please follow me. The underground palace has collected some items belonging to the Death Clan. Perhaps they will be helpful to you. Consider these things a thank you gift for blocking the enemy forces this time and saving our lives." Upon hearing this, Gu Qijue couldn't help but feel anticipation. Although Snow Mountain territory has strategic materials like War Heaven Stone, however, Yaifei, Ji, and Taiyi, among others, all rely on him for sustenance and cannot provide him with any treasure artifacts. Divine Jade City is different. They have goods in hand. The Evil Moon Battle Axe Master Linyi gave him not long ago was very useful. He transformed the damaged Evil Moon Battle Axe into the Evil Moon Battle Spear, and recently used this treasure artifact to thoroughly rout the Zhantian clan. This time, visiting the items left behind by the Death Clan craftsman, he might obtain other treasure artifacts. Led by Master Linyi, the two quickly arrived in front of a storeroom. 434, unable to parse. Undead items exchange. With the Evil Moon Battle Spear as a precedent, Gu Qijue was very interested in the Death Clan's relics. After entering the storeroom, Gu Qijue was dumbfounded. Master Linyi knew the reason for Gu Qijue's astonishment, and he explained, the Evil Moon Battle Axe was not entirely a treasure artifact forged by the Death Clan, or rather, it was a treasure artifact forged by the last generation of the Death Clan. Furthermore, the Evil Moon Battle Axe was reforged and resmelted by later great masters.